Okay, and we are live. Welcome to a new episode of All Things Xbox Podcast. Once again, I got Logan with me. Logan, how you doing this week?
Oh, I'm doing good, Jamie. It's been an interesting week for sure. Offline and online. And I'm ready to talk some good games, man. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good. My foot may or may not still be broken, but that's fun. As long as I get a cool story out of it, I don't mind the injury. Although slipping off a curb isn't really a good story, so I'll make something up. But it's been a long week. There's been a lot of cool gaming news. Yesterday's state of game, state of game. I keep wanting to say state of Game Pass for some reason. State of play. That's going to take some getting used to. State of play games. We're going to go over all of them. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. Now, typically, we have anywhere between 12 to 22 topics per show. We have less topics this week because, we're going to go over all the state of play games, all the ones that's coming to Game Pass, our Xbox predictions, some leaks, bunch of cool stuff. But it's been a great week in gaming news and some stuff that kind of just came out in the past couple of days, of which a lot of us have been waiting for. And before we get into all the topics and what we've been playing, I have a little mini rant. So, for people that have been following me for a while or followed the channel for a while, you know that I like sci fi. I love it. I actively look for sci fi games, movies, TV shows, and Stargate has always been one of my favorite things. People talk online that what's better, Star Trek or Star Wars, and I love them both. But Stargate, I've loved Stargate since day one. And anyway, as someone that has next to no sci fi TV shows to watch at the minute, a new Stargate series was announced last year by the showrunners of Stargate SG-1. They were going to bring back a lot of the cast and a lot of the crew to make something special for fans. Amazon greenlit this, and then last night they cancelled the whole thing because originally the creators were wanting to make a direct follow up to Stargate Atlantis and make something for fans. Shocker. And turns out Amazon's executives didn't want something that was aimed at fans. They wanted something modern and aimed at people that have never seen Stargate before. So excuse me while my blood is boiling, because, oh my god, I'm so sick and tired of these executives interfering with video games, movies, TV shows, wanting to make these products for fan bases that don't even exist. And I love at the minute I'm seeing pushback from the fandom, asking a different company to buy the license because, my god, I'm so sick of this. Star Trek was infiltrated with this crap, and as we saw with recent Star Trek, it's not exactly good. So yeah, mini rant over. Logan, I know you're a Stargate fan as well. What's your take on it
Y-
before we get into what we've been playing?
yeah, this is this cascades into, man. I remember back when, things were handled a different way, and it's awful at the end of the day. Like, I I see that phrase modern audiences and I immediately get triggered. It's like, oh my gosh, if I hear one more exec say we're targeting modern audiences, I'm like, what is the modern audience? Because, like, you have a classic IP that everybody likes, everybody enjoys, and is beloved, and you bring it back with the original crew, original folks, everything like what you would want ideally. And it sounds like it was going to be awesome. And then you go, well, we weren't sure, modern audiences could handle this or would appreciate this. Like the Michael Jordan meme, forget the modern
Yeah.
audience. Like, get get the audience that's core and true to your thing. This is like the risk of always chasing the more. You bleep over the one you have. And it's infuriating. It's happened to Star Wars, which I love dearly. Like, um my boy Grogu ain't doing so hot at the box office right now.
Really?
I'll just I'll just put it that way. Um, it's just, oh my gosh, it's just a disaster right now. And Like, don't get me wrong, like, Disney has done some great stuff with the games,
Oh yeah,
and, like, Cal Kestis and some of the animated shows and stuff, and then Andor, of course, and Rogue One. But aside from that, like, there has been just chasing of certain things or trying to pigeonhole some stuff with Star Wars, with Stargate, with Star Trek. Basically, if you're a beloved sci-fi IP and you get bought by a big tech company, uh, God bless you. I hope you figure it out because it's just infuriating. Same happened to Buffy.
oh yeah,
Like the Buffy reboot was gonna have the crew back and do all this, but then the mythical modern audiences tag. It's like get the flying flip out of here with this
yeah.
modern audiences nonsense. Like rant over, but I agree. It's disheartening. I hope people raise a royal fit about it and all these fandoms unite. It's like the Avengers, where on your left is Star Wars fans, on your right is Star Trek and Stargate, and they all just go like, "We've had enough of this crap." Because it is ridiculous. Like, not everything has to stay the same as it was when we were little, but you definitely don't have to throw dirt on it and just disrespect it like this.
Yeah, it's disappointing because before we get into the games, like Stargate in particular, they have 17 seasons and 3 movies of lore, which they could just like build on. And
You have
Amazon's just
plenty to work with.
yeah,
Yes.
they have tons to work with. By the way, I even heard that Jason Momoa was willing to come back. Like, arguably one of the biggest actors on the planet, who like got popular in Hollywood because of Stargate. you know, oh god, excuse me as I jump out of a window in Minecraft. Um, but yeah, that's it. Rant over. I might rant about it another time on a separate stream. But anyway, Logan, it's been a long week. What have you been playing?
Well, as a change of topic, I've been playing Dad Space. I've been
Nice.
really enjoying Pragmata and its happy vibes. Get my little, little crayon drawings and chasing balloons and digital cats and blasting all kinds of robots and the training missions are fun, collecting all the mini robot collectibles that are like singing and dancing places and the story is really good and heartwarming. The combat is super fun. The story is great. The characters are phenomenal. The voice actors are fantastic. Like, simply put, Capcom has absolutely owned this year so far.
Oh yeah.
Like, aside from Forza Horizon 6, like, I think they're the clear winners of the year so far. Just Capcom in general. Like, they are just kicking butt and taking names. And I'm so glad to see them thriving. And, shout out to them for giving Play Anywhere support to Onimusha as well, which will be down the road one of our topics.
Yeah.
But yeah, Capcom, all in all, just chef's kiss, buddy. Greenlit Pragmata 2. The director wants to make it. He says it's not up to him, but he wants to make it. They're gonna make a second one,
Oh,
I'm pretty
definitely.
sure. But just yes, we want it. It's great. We love it. We gotta have it. Been playing that. I bought Matthew Ball's new book or his revised State of Gaming like metaverse book
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
hardback because I'm fancy like that. But um, because we didn't talk about this last week, but I assume it's one of the topics. But the new leadership team at Xbox, the new head of strategy, he wrote a huge book that was internationally praised and critically acclaimed. I bought it because I wanted to do some homework on and understand the mind of the new man in charge of strategy. And it's really cool so far. Highly recommend it. That's what I've been up to. How about you?
I mean, normally I like to play like a wide range of games, but there's been so many new things coming out. I'm trying to keep it to a few, so I've been playing Crimson Desert again, By the way, that game's phenomenal. Uh, this is the segment where I glaze Crimson Desert for a couple of minutes, because my god, that game's phenomenal. Um, I've talked about this before, but I'll mention it again. It's littered with so many gameplay mechanics that, like, to most people, it will seem super overwhelming. But it shockingly isn't. Everything's just like you learn naturally. Um, for instance, there's these puzzles you can do in these like monuments throughout the map, and it will like you can't finish them, and it says at the top of the screen, or you need to meet a certain person in this area to finish the puzzle. And it's like I actually read on Reddit, and a lot of people missed that. So people were trying to complete these puzzles, even though the game tells you that you can't do them yet. But man, it's just so cool, man. And the funny thing is, and I think Red Dead Redemption 2 had the same thing with me, where the game is so good that I don't actually want to ride a horse from place to place. I just want to walk. Because it's just so nice. Like seeing the wildlife do their own thing, and by the way, I don't know if you saw this, Logan. So, somewhere near the beginning of the game, near the first town, there's this huge stone block, and you see this stonemason, taking a hammer and a chisel to it, right? Now, in most games, you see this, you walk past, you think, okay, cool, this is an NPC designed to make it look like a stonemason. Well, people have recorded this person in real time, and he actually chips away at the stone and makes an actual statue out of it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's like, it's such a small thing that most people will never notice. People will walk past it, and it's like, it's just there. And, this is what you have when these MMO developers have to make a single-player game for the first time. And they've made something like this. They've made something that people are comparing to Red Dead 2. Like, it's crazy. And I think, when we talk about the best games of the generation, probably like, next year, I think Crimson Desert's going to be very high up there. Very high.
You see it's getting new content and story upgrades for the narrative?
Yeah, so I was going to save that topic for a bit, but I'll just talk about it now.
Oh, sorry.
No, because it is a big thing, and we're talking about Crimson Desert, but like, they've came out every week talking about new patches, fixing things, putting in features people have immediately wanted, rather than waiting 6 months. I'll always talk about this, and I'll bring it up again. People wanted this simple feature in Ghost Recon Breakpoint where you could throw maybe a bullet casing to distract an enemy. We waited 8 months for that feature. 8 months. Bear in mind, they already had a throwing animation in the game. Right? So, like, we waited 8 months for that. And these developers, they're not only just putting in features people want, they fixing story elements people don't like. Which means they're getting voice actors back in to record lines for free patches. Right? I've never seen a game like it. And, I always talk about how I prefer sci-fi, and I'm sick of massive open world games. Like, this is an exception. I think people need to play this. I'm trying not to swear. Like, I'm so excited while playing it because it's so good. It's got like certain destructible environments. The puzzles are interesting. The NPCs you meet are actually interesting. The language in the game, which I can't talk about because there's some very British language in there. Certain words we say a lot, which we don't really see online for reasons, but my God, they've made something special. And like you said, yeah, they're going to continue to update the game for many months with new features for free. They said that the next few patches are designed to come out between July and September. And they said they're not stopping there with the free updates. They're just going to continue to support the game. And then they mentioned DLC for the first time. When you have a game so good where only 6% of the Steam players have actually finished the story, because it's such a big game, and people are already willing to pay for DLC, that's when you know you've got a good game. It's brilliant. And I always talk about like I like to call open world slop, where I feel a lot of games are designed to be open world just to retain player hours. That's not the case with this game. There's so many different things to do. If you want to spend 4 hours hunting, you can do that. If you're not near a fire to like actually cook your food, you can drop it on the ground and literally reflect the sun's light off your sword onto the food and cook it. Just like cool stuff like that. And you can have pets in the game. Yeah, you can have pets. There's a little fat black cat in the first town called Loaf, and that's going to be my pet. That's definitely going to be my pet. And when you get a pet, apparently they collect everything enemies drop when you defeat them, so you don't have to walk around to each enemy searching them. And now they've put baby dragons in the game, so you can have them as pets as well. You can have I think you can actually have a full-on farm in the game, right? So you've basically got The Witcher 3, Skyrim, Red Dead Redemption 2, and like Animal Crossing, all mixed together. And yeah, this is going to be in the Game of the Year conversation. It really is. And by the way, I waited till May to play it. So I got those camera patches, the stuff I was wanting in the game, and it's incredible. So like for people that haven't bought it yet, you're getting a great game. That's just going to continue to get better. I did see it on sale in the UK recently, so I think that's at Argos if people are interested. But man, what a game. Now, the other thing I want to get into, and before we get into all the topics, is another game that came out, which I bought, and that is 007 First Light. Now, this is the segment where we call Jamie Glazer's 007 for about 5 minutes, because this is a Game of the Year contender. It is incredible. And I put it like this. I have a tendency to bring up Splinter Cell once every so often. Let's be honest, I whine a lot about Splinter Cell, or the lack of Splinter Cell. I'm not even kidding. They've taken Hitman, they've taken Splinter Cell, smashed them together, and they've made something brilliant. My God in heaven. It's got the stealth you want from a Splinter Cell game. It's got the action you want from big set pieces. In fact, it's got a lot of Uncharted in there as well. So it's basically Uncharted mixed with Hitman and Splinter Cell, and they've made something incredible.
Sounds like a Keighley special.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's so good, man. I found it shocking before release where people were just trying to find reasons to complain about this game. It seems to be the thing with big AAA games now where you have to find something to complain about because that's easy to get clicks, I'm guessing. And nope, this is great. I've got footage on screen right now for people watching at home. Like, it is very much Splinter Cell. You sneak around like Splinter Cell. You can climb pipes. And like, look, have you ever played any of the Hitman games?
Yes, I remember I really loved Blood Money and other 360 ones.
Yeah. So in like Splinter Cell, like you have very small, like contained levels with different options to get to certain areas. But in Hitman games, you typically have a big environment, semi-big environment with lots of different areas. So, for instance, in Chapter 3, and by the way, I'm not going to talk about story spoilers, but in Chapter 3, the mission takes place primarily in this big royal mansion. And there's like maybe 50 rooms. There's libraries, there's offices, there's bedrooms, there's foyers, there's bars, there's dance areas, right? There's like so many different areas in this game, and it's populated with hundreds and hundreds of NPCs, all talking with each other, all doing their own thing. And you're given one task: find the guy with the blonde hair. And it's basically you come up with your own way to find this guy. You can try and get a key card to get into a different room, but then you have to get into the manager's office to get the key card, but the code for the key card is locked in a vault. Just stuff like that, and that's just one way of getting through this part of the mission. Or if you want, you could just sneak around Splinter Cell style and crawl around the outside of the building, right? And you can basically just play your way. The game is still directed, so like it's not like Hitman where you're just basically thrown in the deep end and just expect to figure it out yourself. Like, there is still a direction where you have to go, but you just sort it out your way. And that's where the Splinter Cell stuff comes into. And my God, the combat. So for people that have played Splinter Cell Conviction, I'm not even kidding. It's 1-to-1 Splinter Cell Conviction. You can interact with things in the environment when you're doing, fighting with your fists. So if you're next to a wall, you can direct them into the wall, and everything in the environment is interactable, right? So let's say you're next to a pile of fruit, you can smash that person against the pile of fruit, and the fruit will go flying, right? Or if they're next to a TV, the TV's destructible, stuff like that. Like it's 1-to-1 Splinter Cell Conviction. Um, I'd be shocked if there aren't people that have worked on Splinter Cell Conviction worked on this game. There's just so many different options, and then there's set pieces. There's car chases where the car driving is actually really good. There's a big set piece that involves a plane in Chapter 3. I'm not even kidding. It's one of the best set pieces I've ever played in a game. People online over the past 12 hours have told me there's something like that in Arkham Knight. I honestly can't remember that, but I could be wrong. But yeah, this is a Game of the Year tier game. If it's not in the conversation, I'd be shocked. As far as I know, it's sold over 1.5 million copies in, I think, the first couple of days, which is great for a brand new Bond game, considering we haven't had one in, I think, Bloodstone back in 2011. But yeah, Game of the Year tier game. I like to go into every year and try and predict what my Game of the Year will be. My prediction for this year was always 007, but after playing Crimson Desert, I was like, oh, this might be my Game of the Year. But now playing 007, I'm thinking this is going to be tough. It's incredible. And just like how Bond is it really? The main character, he's brilliant. That this actor is fantastic as Bond. You are playing as a younger Bond who's in training, and they've nailed it. They've nailed it, and it's incredible. Logan, do you want to know anything about Bond before we move on?
Um, about how long is the campaign, do you think? And then, like, how many gadgets can you use and stuff like that?
Uh, so for the campaign, people are saying it's around 20. It really depends how you play it. So like the chapter I was talking about, chapter 3, if you want to go all out action and not search for things like key cards and stuff, you could probably get through the entire mission in about 30 minutes. If you're just taking your time and playing at your own pace, it might take about an hour and a half. Or if you're going full on stealth and trying to get through unnoticed, this mission might take like 2.5 hours. So I'd say it's fair to say about 2 hours. But there's actually a training simulation thing where you could actually pick different scenarios and actually level up your character with kind of perks. When it comes to gadgets, there's actually a small number of them. I think there's maybe about 8, but they all offer unique things. So you have a phone that fires a kind of a poisonous dart. You have a pair of AirPods, which acts as a grenade. What else is it? There's a camera that basically acts as a shockwave device. Just things like that. Oh, there's a pen that fires missiles. But yeah, I think the developers, like, they could have gone all out and made like 40 gadgets like a Splinter Cell game and gone over the top, but they've been very conservative because they want the game to be very realistic at the same time, even though you do have a pen that fires missiles. But man, they've absolutely nailed this. I think this game, so far for me, it's so far the best Bond game I've ever played. Just the amount of different options you can do, and by the way, the gorgeous graphics. So I keep seeing clips on social media of people clearly playing on graphics mode at 30 frames per second. Let me tell you, as someone that will play games sometimes with graphics mode on at 30, you don't need to in this game. It looks great at 60, flawless frame rate. And another thing about this game is it's bright and colourful. So even though like the story can be very dark, it's bright. You've got bright oranges, bright blues and stuff when you're in Monaco. It's beautiful. The whole game's beautiful. And the Bond theme, like, they absolutely nailed it. You have Lana Del Rey, arguably one of the best Bond themes I've ever heard. And I've heard them all. But man, when IO Interactive announced that they were making a Bond game 5 years ago, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but let me just say I said they were going to be perfect. Turns out they were. But yeah, that's James Bond. Everyone, play it.
Speaking of, oh, sorry.
No. It's all right.
Did you see the latest statement from Amazon about the future of the games?
Oh, God, no.
Okay, I brought it up because you mentioned IO was perfect, which I agree. But it sounds like Amazon is doing Amazon things, and they're saying that future management of the IP and games and stuff will be handled basically in house with Amazon, like studio type stuff, and managed fully by MGM. Instead, they said the IO deal before was in place before they took over the IP, so they let it happen. But it sounds like they want full control of everything and development and stuff, which would seem to be a red flag when this one is doing so well.
I mean, considering how well this is doing, I'm sure they can work something out. Um, who knows? Maybe IO Interactive can make a sequel, and then they'll just publish it under Amazon Game Studios. That's a shame. And by the way, I have no trust in James Bond under Amazon. But this game, it does give me some hope, and considering how well it's doing, I'm going to be optimistic. My God, if Amazon shut down a sequel for this game and they shut down Stargate, I will go nuclear. Like, I'm only on chapter 4 and I already want a sequel. Like, that's how good it is. But yeah, everyone play the game. Incredible. And I've seen a lot of people ask, like, maybe this person, the actor, should be the new James Bond because he's that good. And the funny thing is, he's actually described, or he looks how he's described in the original Bond book, which is actually pretty cool. Even with like the scar over his eye and stuff. Now we have a lot of gaming topics, a lot of really cool stuff, and yeah, let's get into it because again, we have like 50 topics. So Xbox Game Pass is getting some brand new titles, and some are coming back. So I'll go over these quickly. So Hurdling. It's a very chill game. I think a lot of people might find that relaxing. That's coming to Xbox Game Pass Premium. Next up, we have Total Chaos. This is a first-person horror game. I'd say it's kind of in the vein of Resident Evil 7, which I still haven't finished, but people might have fun with that. That's coming to Xbox Game Pass Premium. We have Solarpunk, which is coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and PC. Next up, we have Undisputed, which is a boxing game, very much like Fight Night Round 1 or whatever it's called. Looks very good. That's coming to Ultimate, PC, and Premium. Persona 5 Royale is coming back to Xbox Game Pass. That's coming to Ultimate, PC, and Premium. Next up, we have Bistro. This is a cooking game where you play as a cool animated fox. That's coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and PC. Next up, we have Frog Squad. If that's the game I think it is, that's a multiplayer, kind of chill, relaxing game where you obviously play as frogs. That's coming to Ultimate and PC. Next up, we have Star Seeker, an Astroneer game. That game is launching day one in Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and PC. And lastly, we have Junkster, which is coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and PC. So, bit of a slow month in the past few months, but I have a feeling that Microsoft is saving a bunch of these announcements for their game showcase. They typically have a big sizzle reel when it comes to Game Pass games. But hey, decent month for people interested. A lot of variety there. Now, let's see what we've got. Okay, we have a bunch of new stuff to still go over. But by the way, the big topics of the show are obviously going to be the Xbox Game Pass predictions and the state of play stuff, where we're going to go over every single game that was announced, including the stuff that happened after the show. Now, Logan, you're a fan of Witcher 3, aren't you?
You could say that, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, this game, it's kind of popular. It's sold around 60 plus million copies, which, as an RPG fan, I love to see. Funny thing is, when The Witcher 3 first came out, a lot of people thought it wouldn't do that well. because it launched
Oh,
in a bit of
that's a cold take.
yeah,
Woo!
and yeah, they were kind of wrong, and people were very wrong. So anyway, now it's highly regarded as one of the best games of all time, and that game came out what 12 years ago. Sorry, 11
Mhm.
years ago. Anyway, the other day, out of the blue, and bear in mind, we were talking about this a year ago on this podcast. A brand new expansion was announced out of nowhere on a random day called The Witcher 3 Songs of the Past. And yeah, they said this is going to be a big expansion. It's going to be about the size of Blood and Wine. And for people that don't know, Blood and Wine is literally the size of a whole game. Brand new region, many different quests and side characters. They knocked it out of the park, and with this, yeah, brand new region, new characters, new stories, and it's funny that they announced it out of nowhere, no hype, no lead up. It's coming out. I think they said early next year, which I think's fine. Let's be honest, it would have came out this year if it wasn't for GTA. Like I know that's my opinion, but it just kind of seems that way. But yeah, one of the biggest games ever made, getting a single player expansion 11 years after launch, and it'll be 12 then. And as someone that doesn't like live service games that much or live service stuff, if you give me single player expansions, I'll buy them. And yet, millions of people are clearly hyped. This game's or this expansion, it's clearly going to do well. And it just goes to show, like, they are willing to support their games for such a long time. They originally said there weren't going to be any Xbox Series and PlayStation 5 enhancements, and then they did it anyway, and it's one of the best looking games ever made now. Cyberpunk was never going to get a PlayStation 5 Pro upgrade, and then they did. And I have a feeling when our next gen Xboxes get here, we'll get The Witcher upgraded again, as well as Cyberpunk with probably path tracing. But man, one of the best developers of all time. They had a rough couple of years with Cyberpunk's launch, but now they have that fan service back. They have all the goodwill back, and yeah, brand new expansion coming next year. And if it's as big as Blood and Wine as they say, you're looking at about a 40-hour game for just that expansion. Logan, what do you think? Because this is huge news.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I remember us talking about this, like you said, a year or even two ago. Like there had been buzz that when they announced Witcher 4,
Yeah,
that they were going to revisit 3 and make an expansion. My guess is this is an expansion to help tidy some things up, would
yeah,
be my guess, and prepare it for a new canon kind of type ending or structure going forward into 4. That would be my personal guess.
yeah,
Either way, I'm super excited for it. Witcher series, one of the best ever made. I adore them. They're phenomenal. I cannot wait for a new major expansion over a decade later. Like, who says people don't like old games? There you go, right here.
yeah.
People are losing their minds for an expansion of a game from 12 years ago as brand new content. Like, clearly, people care, and I am super excited. Cannot wait for it.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, Blood and Wine was a pretty cheap expansion. I think it was only about
Oh
50.
yeah, it and Heart of Stone
Yeah,
weren't too bad.
I think in the UK, Blood and Wine, bear in mind that's a game-sized expansion. That was like £15. Um, but yeah, incredible. Now I see people they have the hopium out for a new Cyberpunk expansion.
Hey,
Maybe,
I'd take it.
yeah, maybe we'll see what happens. But yeah, you'll love to see it. And the funny thing is, I found this out yesterday. Uh, the team making this new expansion are actually making the Witcher remake.
Maybe they retcon, like I said, like
Yeah,
they bring in some stuff to tie to some of the other ones.
yeah. So like this is a good sign, and that the team they clearly talented. I think they actually helped make Phantom Liberty as well, which people absolutely love. And I have a feeling that we might see the Witcher remake pretty soon. But hey, That's The Witcher 3, brand new expansion coming out next year. I'm sure that's probably going to sell millions.
As in Sunday soon?
Yeah, yeah. I'd be
Mm.
shocked if it's not there. That is a prediction, which we'll be talking about, but I think 99% we're going to see some Witcher-related stuff on the Xbox show.
It was meant to be a 360 exclusive back in the day, the original Witcher.
Yeah,
Um, and then it for some reason the port fell apart. But then we got the Kings, Assassins of Kings as an exclusive. So Xbox and Witcher have been buddies for a long time.
yeah. And by the way, as far as I know, there's about 5 Witcher games in development. There's The Witcher
Good
4.
grief,
Yeah,
5. Wow.
there's the Witcher 4, there's the Witcher remake, and then there's other Witcher games that's been made by third party studios.
Hmm.
But I'm probably going to get them all. The only thing I could never get into when it comes to The Witcher is Gwent.
Oh yeah, that game kicked my tail. Like
Yeah,
I did not get it at all.
yeah. Basically, if you make me play a card game of any kind, my brain just turns off. Like, unless it's Pokemon the card game, I just can't do it. And like you said, The Witcher 2. The Witcher 2, I still think is one of the best RPGs ever made. Incredible.
Oh yes, remember that trailer? My
Oh yeah,
gosh, that would go right up with Blizzard's cinematics. Like it was incredible.
oh yeah. The funny thing about Witcher 2, before I move on, for people that don't know, The Witcher 2 was basically separated into 3 different acts. The second act
Mhm.
took place in a completely different region, depending on one choice.
I remember it was dramatically different
Yeah,
too.
and like I still haven't seen the other setting. Every time I've played the Witcher 3, I go to where the elves are in the camps. Um,
Same.
but who knows? Maybe I'll have to give that another go. Incredible game. But anyway, that's The Witcher. Oh, and by the way, we have more Witcher news. So this is good news. And I don't know if you saw this, Logan. This is actually good news disguised as bad news. So I think people will like this. So The Witcher 4 is not going to get expansions. Very sad. However, they want to have a whole trilogy out in 6 years.
I will take that instead.
Yep, I'll take that. Because we've talked about this all the time, how long it takes for these games to come out, and like I've said before, if you play a game now, you won't get a sequel till next gen, right? But they want Witcher 4, 5, and 6 out in a 6-year time period. They've kind of hinted that The Witcher 4 is coming out next year. So if that's the case, I'm 100% behind that. We used to get whole trilogies in 6 years all the time. Hell, we got the Mass Effect trilogy in 6 years, as well as 11 expansions. But yeah, great news. I think Witcher fans are going to be eating good for a long time. And it also came out that CD Projekt Red are also making a game that's a new IP. My God. I don't know how they do it. They have The Witcher 4 in development. They have people also helping with The Witcher remake. They also have Cyberpunk 2 in development, which I think now 200 people are working on. But my God, one of the best developers in the industry. And if you're
Any
listening right
word
now and
on?
still haven't played The Witcher, please play it. I believe the Game of the Year edition is also in Game Pass, which has both expansions. And for people that have played The Witcher 3 at launch, the version in Game Pass, the Game of the Year edition, has a completely different set of achievements. So if you want to double up, you can do that as well. Now, let's see what we've got. Okay, so Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is available now on Xbox and also Switch too. What a monumental day. I'm sorry if I can't speak today. I'm actually super excited about gaming at the minute because, my God, we've had some ups and downs with game stories this year, and it just seems at the minute it's all good. So after us thinking that maybe Final Fantasy VII Remake would never come to Xbox, we have the remake now, and Rebirth is out now. It's like 170 gigabytes.
It's a chunky boy.
Yeah, it's got some chunk on it. Fun fact, I actually checked. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is as big as Call of Duty now. If you just have Warzone installed, which is crazy. But I mean,
Those are console killers. Like
yeah,
those games, like point blank, like they got to figure out file sizing on these things.
yeah. I played the demo for 7 Rebirth. That was 90 gigabytes for a demo. um, but
Far cry from magazine DVDs, right?
yeah, oh my god, dude, I miss game demos on discs so much. Like, I know there's a technical reason as to why we don't, and depending on which company does it, like you don't really see game magazines much now. I miss demo discs. I miss being able to play games from the disc. I know why we can't now, but my god, that if someone could make a technology where we could just read discs super fast, that would sort out everything. Because my god, storage is an issue. If I put it like this, if you have a Series S, a standard one, you could fit on Call of Duty Warzone and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that's it. Maybe Peggle, but that's it. Which is a bit of a shame. All these games are just think about how big Grand Theft Auto is going to be. By the way,
Oh,
I'm going to put my foot in the sand and stake how big I think that file's going to be. 250 gigabytes.
250.
Yep.
Okay. I will go 135.
Bold. Very bold. Just because, like, I think a lot of these game developers, they don't compress their file sizes, man. Which is why I'll actually give a shout out to Borderlands 4 quickly. That's a huge open world game, and it's about 28 gigabytes. You know, you have hundreds of lines of dialogue, and somehow it's less than 30 gigs. Good on them. But my God.
Is it because of the art style, or?
I honestly don't know how they've done it. You know, it's an Unreal Engine 5 game. It's just not bloated. Who knows? It's some kind of wizardry. But yeah. Oh yeah, 007 isn't that big either. I think 007, that's like 20 gigabytes on Xbox, I think, at the minute. Yeah, Crimson Desert, I think 120 gigabytes. But when you play that game, you kind of see why. But yeah, Rebirth's out now. My God. And by the way, for people who want to see an absolute spectacle, the Japanese Final Fantasy VII account put out arguably one of the best trailers I've ever seen. Of course, it's in Japanese, but my God, what a gorgeous looking game. Very well optimized as well. Even the Switch 2 version looks great. But yeah. By the way, Logan, did you ever get to play through 7 Remake yet?
I have not. I've been playing some like smaller scale stuff lately, but I fully intend to play through the trilogy.
Yeah. And while we're talking about Final Fantasy VII, I wholeheartedly believe that the remake 7 Part 3 is going to be announced soon. The directors keep talking about how they are basically ready to show Part 3 in action. And obviously we're going to be talking about the Xbox showcase in a minute, but yeah, all signs are pointing to this next week, be it Summer Games Fest or whatever. But my God, I know I've glazed Part 1 a lot, and I'm going to glaze it again. That may be one of the best games I've ever played. You know, they tell a great story, great characters, amazing soundtrack. I mean, you can't really go wrong with a Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. Some of the best designed characters I've ever seen in games. Cloud Strife is iconic in general, but his design in this game is just peak. Zach Fair, my boy. For people that have played Crisis Core, you know who I'm talking about. I'm not even kidding. When I played the demo, I may have mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. When I played the demo for Rebirth, I literally said, "That's my boy," when he popped up on screen. Like that scene from, Old School. "You're my boy, Blue. You're my boy." Because I never thought I'd see him again in a video game.
I
Um,
felt that way when I saw Red and Pokemon Gold and Silver at
oh
the
yeah,
end on the mountain. I'm like, oh my gosh, is that who I think it is? Yeah.
man, that's some nostalgia. um, but yeah, I'm just happy. I'm in a good mood, and yeah, again, that came out today. Logan, what do you think we actually going to see part 3 announced soon?
Yes. Um, if I were a betting man, I'd say that's a Keeley show kind of thing.
Yeah.
But just for the salt and tears and just anger alone, I would love it to be at the Xbox show. But I just my guess is they want as big an audience as possible, so it will be at the Keeleys because it'll be for everyone, all platforms. But Xbox and Square have been super chummy lately,
Yep.
and they've been making a lot of stuff play anywhere. And like, you know, we've given plenty of criticism of the previous administration's, decisions within the last few years, but you have to give 100% credit on fixing the relationship with Square and getting things a lot better with Japanese studios in general. Because, like, Square and them, like, I remember we spent years on this platform mad at Square
Oh yeah.
about all the silly bull they would pull, like porting games to Fire tablets and not Xbox, for crying out loud. Like, it was that ridiculous. And so now they're like best of buddies, like with Sega, and I love it. As a '90s kid, like love it. Bring me Sega, bring me Square, Xbox together, just wonderful. So I think it will be soon. Sunday, I don't know, but I think soon.
Yeah. Um, the big question for a while is like, what's next after part 3? Do they do a whole new, Final Fantasy 17? Do they make that concurrently with like a remake of a different game? And honestly, my opinion's completely changed. I want more games like this. I love the combat. If anything, I want them to do Final Fantasy 10 in the style.
Oh, 100%. And then like imagine you could make one game where you combine like 10 and 10-2's
Yeah.
storylines basically. Yeah.
And people always talk about the original Final Fantasy 7 being their favorite. Ten's mine. Um, that was like early PS2 game. That was mind blowing back in the day. It was the first one with dialogue, spoken dialogue, and I love 10. It was one of those tropical beach setting games. um, Funny thing is, I love seeing other people like play 10 for the first time when they're discovering the story. Uh,
Mhm.
just the beats in that game, the different twists and turns. Um, and yeah, I'd love them to. I have a feeling they're gonna do Final Fantasy 8. Uh,
Oh, it needs it bad.
yeah.
So,
Um, but like I know a fan one, like what a huge one that's been asked by fans, which is Final Fantasy 6. I think that would transition well. But yeah, I just have this good feeling they're gonna go with 8. But I just hope 10. Like 10 still looks great. Don't get me wrong, and I don't think every game needs to be remade. But I'm being selfish today. I want 10 in this exact
I
style.
still think Aron is one of the coolest guys I've ever seen. I
Oh yeah,
still love the characters in that game so much.
yeah. He's just just like what's the term? Max and aura all the time.
I know he's aura farming
Yeah,
so hard. He's mogging on everybody.
yeah, but that's all. Like the opening scene in that game, basically, when with the first cutscene, is literally just him watching a disaster about to happen. you know, um, and he's a borderline alcoholic throughout the entire game. He's cool, Um, but yeah, I'm just happy Final Fantasy is finally like literally a regular thing again on Xbox. Um, 7 remake, as far as I know, did really well on Xbox, so we'll see how Rebirth does. And by the way, it's I don't know the US price at the minute, but in the UK, it's like £10 off if you get it for the next week, which I think's perfect. I think $39.99 for Rebirth is perfectly fair. Perfectly fair. And 7 Remake, I believe, is on sale at the minute for 50% off. So yeah, people go nuts. Treat yourself. And I will say this, and yes, I'm glazing this before we move on to the state of play stuff. If you own an Xbox or a Switch, Switch 2, a PC or PlayStation, you need to buy Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. It may be one of the best games I've ever played. Top 25, easy. Everything about that game I could just talk about all day. But yeah, that's Final Fantasy, and I'm sure this time next week we'll be talking about Final Fantasy again for a different reason. Anyway, let's see what we've got next. You know what? Let's get into all the state of play stuff, because honestly, it's going to be a long topic. So, PlayStation had their big state of play last night, and people going back and forth online. I'll get my quick impression out of the way quickly before we get into the list of games there. I actually really enjoyed the show. I know, an Xbox dude. I thought, like, if you come out and show me a well-paced show, I'm probably going to enjoy it regardless what games you show off. I don't like hearing lots of people talk. I don't like lots of behind-the-scenes stuff during these shows. Like, just show me trailer. That's it. That's all I need. And they did that, so I really enjoyed it. Logan, before we get into the list of all the games, did you manage to watch the whole show?
Not the whole show, no, but I've caught, basically what was there and
Yeah.
stuff. And overall, I thought it was good. I'd give it a B. I thought it was a good show. I mean, you give me gods, dinosaurs, mechs, all kinds of fun nostalgia bits. Like, yeah, you're in for a good time.
Yeah. Before we get into the big list of games, we're about an hour into the show. If you're enjoying it, please hit like, share, and subscribe. I hate doing these little ads, but the likes do help with the algorithm, and I clearly need the help from the algorithm at the minute. We also got Super Chats live if you want to support the channel that way. We'll read anything out or want a topic added into the show, and it's all put back into the channel and greatly appreciated. Now, they had a long list of games here, and there's something for everyone. So, we're obviously going to talk about the logo thing at the end, but I just want to quickly run down all the stuff that was shown, specifically the stuff that's coming to Xbox. Let's see. I have the list right here. And, of course, my notes stopped working. Okay, here we go. So they announced Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered Complete Edition. I'm sure Dynasty Warrior fans are super happy. Looks like they're going to remaster a lot of those games. Personally, I've never been able to get into Dynasty Warriors. Bit of a shame. I always love the idea that you have hundreds, if not thousands, of enemies on screen. I tried with the PlayStation 2. I can't get into that franchise. There's something about it. Logan, did you ever get into those games?
No, I never did personally. But I'm happy for the folks who like it.
Yeah.
Like I know there are a few different versions of that type of game, like 99 Nights or Kingdom Under Fire and
Yeah.
stuff that kind of have those similar mechanics and are a bit different. But overall, that genre is not for me. But it looks like they did a good job with it.
Yeah. I know a lot of people like those games, and who knows, maybe they'll come out with like a sci-fi version of that game and I'll go nuts. But
Oh,
hey,
Mass Effect.
oh my god, I'd buy that in a heartbeat. Like, yeah,
Reaper's just murking folks, and you got to run around and.
yeah.
Oh.
I mean, look, I think at one point they did actually a Gundam version of that game. But I'll take any sci-fi game at this point. But yeah, that's coming out later this year. One of the big ones, which was actually announced, I think, early on, is Dune Awakening. So Dune Awakening was announced for Xbox, PC, and PlayStation like 4 years ago. It came out on PC last year. A lot of people love those games, or that game. It's been supported with DLC since and free updates. For people that don't know, it's actually an open world MMO, but it's kind of not at the same time. It's basically a shared world game, kind of like a Destiny, and I'm kind of doing it a disservice by mentioning that, even though Destiny's fine. It's just not really the same genre, but it's basically an open world RPG with a shared world. And it had PvP areas, but a lot of people that wanted to play this game solo and just not die all the time kept getting killed by people. And they announced that they're going to separate the PvP stuff. So if you want to play the game and not worry about other players, you can do that as well. But the big announcement yesterday, and yes, this game is coming to Xbox. They announced that it's going to have a full-on single-player mode. So they've got hours of cinematic cutscenes. It's launching with a full-on single-player version of the story. So if you want, when that game comes out in September, you can play this without worrying about other people. And if you want to play it as a single-player epic Dune RPG, you can do that. And I think a lot of people will love this game. I'm a huge fan of Dune, but we don't get a lot of gaming media when it comes to that franchise. Not many. And you don't. I think Dune Awakening is going to be the biggest game for a long time in this franchise. But my God, I think a lot of people are going to be really into this game. They said it's going to be the end of book one, which kind of points to the fact that they're going to do multiple different huge expansions. There's an expansion, I believe, coming out either early next year or late this year, where it's going to be set in the Arctic region of Arrakis, which we haven't seen before. But yeah, game looks incredible. So if you want, you can play co-op with friends. You can play solo. You can play in a shared world if you want, or just go on full on PvP. So basically, you can cater the experience to how you want. There's a wide range of difficulty modes. So if you want to play with not having to worry about crafting, you can do that. Or if you want to play this game as a crafting experience, you can do that as well. But I think a lot of people are in the same boat as me, where you're going to want to play this game as a single-player, third-person RPG. And I think they've done a great job with that. Logan, what do you think? Because we've talked about MMOs in the past and Dune Awakening as an MMO. But the fact that you could play it as just a regular single-player RPG that's cinematic, I think this is going to appeal to a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm interested now. Like I'll be point blank. Like Fallout 76 or Elder Scrolls Online stuff, like whenever games like that pop up, I generally hit snooze or zone out or like go get a drink and come back for the rest of the show. Even though those games are good and well done, and there are parts of them that I like and you can play solo, it's just not for me. So, especially when I hear MMO, I just get like, okay, next, or like, yeah, no, not for me. But the fact you can play it solo and then not get harassed by folks and just live out your Dune spice trip, like, sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah. The only bad news, it depends on how you look at it, there won't be crossplay. The only crossplay that the game will have is people that are playing on Xbox and the people that buy it on the Windows Store. But other than that, there's no cross progression or anything like that. I think that's a bit of a shame, but I think that has something to do with how they've just made the game. Because originally the game was just meant to have, different servers per platform. But other than that, I love what they've done. Again, like MMOs for me, it's a type of thing I want to get into all the time. I would like to get into World of Warcraft if it came to console, but I've seen what that does to people's lives. People just like lose time to that game. I played Star Trek Online, shocker to no one, for like 50 hours, and then I was like, okay, I've had my fill. But the fact that you can play this as a single-player RPG, that's great. The cinematics in this game are stunning. And if you like the past two Dune films, you're going to like this. It's kind of the same story, but expanded a bit. But the news that flew under the radar is that it's launching in Game Pass, which I did not expect. This is a very fair game with its price. I think it's about £40, and I think it's about $40 as well. So if you're giving someone tens, if not hundreds of hours of content for $40, I think that's perfectly fair. The fact that it's launching in Game Pass is huge. And plus you have the third film coming out this year. So like this game has the potential to be one of the biggest games of the year when it comes to the console release. But yeah, Dune fans, be happy. We finally get something. Let's see. Oh, and by the way, they are going to support this game with more expansions in the future. Let's see what we have next. Oh, they announced.
That's good.
Yeah, they announced Rayman Legends Retold. This game kind of leaked before the announcement. Looks like there's going to be a Rayman Origins remaster as well as this. So I thought this was just going to be a one-to-one remake, same 2D art style, which still looks great. No, it's 3D now. I didn't expect them to go 3D with the Rayman remake. This game is stunning, absolutely stunning. And for people that haven't played Rayman Legends, it's, in my opinion, one of the best 2D side-scrolling platformers. Especially with the musical levels. I think a lot of people are going to love this. And it was actually a big announcement because Rayman fans have had nothing for, 13 years? I think Rayman Legends was the last one. So they're finally getting something. Finally, before Splinter Cell. But they're finally getting something. Logan, what do you think? Because Rayman fans, they've had nothing for such a long time. And to have a remake and a remaster come out later this year, I think it's a big news.
Yeah, I'm very happy about this. It looks awesome. I loved Rayman Legends. I remember that dragon level with
Oh,
all
yeah.
the rock music. It's just it's just so good. And I can't this looks very excellent. I can't wait to play it. I'm happy Rayman's back. It seems like Ubisoft has kind of turned a corner a bit after a bit of a rough patch for a while.
Yeah.
So, just fingers crossed, but it feels like they're steadying the ship a little bit with some stuff, decision making. So, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, to give my boy Prince of Persia some love too, and things start getting figured out for that franchise as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, Prince of Persia, the fact that they've had multiple games cancelled, some of which looked really cool, and Splinter Cell, like if they get back to how they were in like the late 2010s, late 2000s, early 2010s, like they'll be on point again. Because I think that was their best era. The Assassin's Creed 1 through 4. Splinter Cell Blacklist, Far Cry 3, Rayman Legends, Rayman Origins. Prince of Persia, The Forgotten Sands, right? They need to get back to that, and I think if they do, they'll be perfect. But yeah, I'm just glad to see Rayman's coming back. People joke all the time about Ubisoft ignoring Rayman as much as Splinter Cell. Well, at least they're getting something, and hopefully these do well. I think 3D platformers have been getting better and better when it comes to like modern sales. But hey, it's coming out later this year. I think people will be happy. Next up, they showed, let's see, Boncho the Chef. So this is basically a prequel to Dave the Diver. And this was announced for PC and PlayStation, and it looks like the Xbox version will be coming later, much like Dave the Diver. That's disappointing to a lot of people, but my opinion on indie games thing is that a lot of these indie games can only develop one port at a time. I know it's super annoying. I feel you, but I kind of get it. I think they have a small team of people making this game. Logan, what do you think? Because I think Dave the Diver was kind of a big hit when it came out, and it took a year for the Xbox version to arrive, and it looks like this might be the same thing.
Yeah, this one looks good. I'm sure it'll be well done. It is a bit annoying it's not hitting Xbox day one, but it seems to just be par for the course with a bunch of these indies, especially from overseas. And it's not the end of the world because it will be coming to Xbox and we know it will. If it was one of those indefinitely up in the air, it's like, well, I don't know if there's fan demand or if you retweet this many times or some
I
bull
saw
like
that, yeah.
that. Yeah, like I would be just like livid. But something like this, like it is what it is. I'll play something else in the meantime. We know it's coming to Xbox just like we know the Silent Hill game and the Dino game will eventually come to Xbox as well. It just, for whatever reason, are going to be postponed for a bit. So play your backlog or other stuff, and when they come to the platform.
Yeah, before I iterate on something Logan said, we have the first super chat of the day by Nick W290. Thank you very much for the 4.99. He says the state of play was great and September is packed. Yeah, honestly, like I know there's a lot of back and forths online at the minute. If I see a show that's well paced and you have like a decent handful of games I'm really interested in, I thought it was a good show. I thought it was really great.
Mhm.
Um, you know, like the games I just mentioned, like Dune. Do you know how I've been tweeting about Dune Awakening every week since it was announced, and I've just been itching for a console release date. And we
You've been
finally have it.
hitting the spots, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm so happy. I'm so happy I get to see these huge sandworms in a 3D game. Right, I've been waiting years, you know. And I thought it was a good show, man. I thought it was a really good show. Um, were there some games there that not for me? Yeah, but I mean, I'm not everyone, you know. Everyone doesn't have the same taste, so like, you know, I think it is what it is. But I thought it was a really good show. And yeah, September, you know, since people know I do these lists of all these games coming every month, September is usually pretty busy. This year is getting ridiculous. So I looked online and compared it with my. I talked about this before. I have all the games that's coming to Xbox in a database I've made. Let me tell you, we find out most years September's release dates in the second half of June and the first half of August, right? That's when we typically get September's release dates. So now the fact we're in, you know, if you live in the UK, the 4th of June, and there's already about 11 games, 11 big games with a September release date. It's going to be brutal. Like, September is going to be absolutely brutal, which is a good problem to have because you have a lot to choose from. But man, as of now, one game has a November release date, and no one else. So yeah. Over the next month and a half to 2 months, we're going to see a lot more developers come out with a September release date. August's going to be packed. July's packed. October, a lot of developers are trying to fit into the first 3 weeks of the month. But man, it's just hilarious. But yeah, thank you for the $4.99, Nick. It was a great show, and September's packed. So Logan said a minute ago how, like, you know, some of these indie developers, you know, they can't afford to port their games to all platforms at the same time. That's cool. Some developers have asked for a ridiculous amount of retweets. So before we get into all the games that's still coming to Xbox that was at the State of Play, I want to mention this one story quickly because this is what he was talking about. So this developer that's making a cool, you know, 16-bit JRPG, it's coming to, I think, PlayStation and Steam. I won't mention its name. But he said that this account posting about this JRPG said, "Hey Xbox fans, if we can get 2,000 retweets, we'll port this game to Xbox." Now, as someone that's been doing Twitter for 14 years, you typically don't get a lot of retweets per like. So my most liked tweet on Twitter is 120,000 likes. I think that post had maybe 1,000 retweets, but like that's a high amount, right? Typically, a post like that would only have a couple of hundred retweets, right? So the fact that this developer of this indie game wanted 2,000 retweets on a post that had about 500 likes, you are out of your mind, right? I study numbers and analytics, especially when it comes to like things on Twitter and stuff, right? It's unrealistic. So if you're an indie developer wanting to port your game to Xbox, do not ask for something like 2,000 retweets because people are going to be put off from that number to the point where they won't retweet it. Like Logan, I'm sure that's the story you were talking about.
Yeah, that's 100% the story I was talking about. And it's like it's setting up an unrealistic goal almost so you can set allegedly, almost so you could say that Well, I did say I'd make it if you could do it, and
Yep.
clearly people couldn't do it, so there's just not enough demand. It's like you have to be realistic as well. This is like old put on the Square Enix old hate hat again. Like the failed to meet expectations. It's like, what did you expect? 10 million units sold for this, port or this or this? It's like you're out of your mind. That makes no sense. It, like for this 2000 retweets for an indie 16-bit game that is kind of niche anyway, especially for an Xbox platform which has been gaining traction for these types of games, but is not the mainline platform, it that's just asking for problems.
Yep. And as far as I know, they got over 1,000 retweets. That is insanely good.
Yeah, because people took them in good faith and tried,
Yep.
which
Um.
shows that people want these games, even if people aren't in good faith about some things sometimes, allegedly.
Yeah. Uh. And as far as I know, they still haven't talked about Xbox. But hey, I'm not going to mention the name because, again, to me, it just seemed like they were just asking for attention, which we see all the time in the gaming space. Anyway, let's see. Back to the list. Okay, so Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. My God, I cannot wait for this game. That's also coming to Xbox. That's coming out in February 2027. It's a bit of a delay, but if the next Tomb Raider game comes out when it's meant to, that means we might actually see 2 new Tomb Raider games come out next year. I'm all for that. This remake looks fantastic. It's not even a remake, it's more of a reimagining, but it's actually going to kind of tie together all the continuities of Tomb Raider into one universe, which I'm all for. So every Tomb Raider game that's ever came out, it's happened in the same universe. This game looks phenomenal. The level design looks great. You have dinosaurs back. If you're swinging away from a T-Rex and you hold dual-wielding pistols, yes, I think your game's going to be good. Logan, did you catch this remake at all?
Yes, and I am sold, signed, and delivered day one. I love me some old Tomb Raider, so just I can't wait. One of my favorite characters ever. I love the Tomb Raiders, and yeah, just can't wait.
Yeah, looks great. Also, the new design. I'm
Oh
so
yeah,
used.
she's badass.
Yeah,
She's awesome.
yeah, I'm so But the problem with me is I'm so used to the design from the Survivor trilogy, especially the voice actress. Camilla Luddington.
Yes.
That's gonna take me some getting used to, but not in
Hmm.
a bad way. Um, let's see what went next. Okay, so this is one of the negative things of the list. No Rest for the Wicked. This is a new game made by the Moon Studios. It's a action RPG, and it was announced for Xbox on their YouTube channel, on the official Xbox YouTube channel, with a trailer. And yesterday, and we're going to talk about the logo thing briefly after all this list. Uh, they announced the PlayStation version and no Xbox version in sight. And one of the developers last night posted that, look, it's coming to Xbox later. I think they may have mentioned Switch as well. And like I'm perfectly fine. But if you have a game announced for Xbox and you take a money hatted deal, because that's what it looks like, that's not cool in my opinion. It kind of looks that way. I'll have to do some digging, but yeah. And by the way, some people have been blaming the S. At this point, the Series S is a scapegoat. If you can get Call of Duty running at 120 frames per second on that thing, I don't believe any of this, nonsense when it comes to porting games to the S. It's nonsense. Logan, what do you think? Because again, this game was announced for Xbox a year ago, and now people have to wait.
Yeah, exclusivity and logos and stuff will be a topic that we'll get to, obviously. But like my whole thing on timed exclusives is that I just hate them. They're my least favorite exclusives of all. Either make a game full exclusive or don't. Don't jip. artificially manufacture a divide for your game based on a small check and a time limit and gatekeep briefly, just like, oh yeah, you can play with your friends in a couple months or in a year or whatever, but you'll get to, just not yet. And it's just like, you're just basically saying, well, screw them, screw these people. Like, it's just, it's like, you get it if it's fully exclusive. You're like, okay, this is an Xbox game. It stays with Xbox. It's PlayStation, stays with PlayStation, Nintendo, etc. But these third party, like artificially manufactured timed exclusive deals are just the worst anti-consumer. Just cannot stand them. And that goes for any company. I don't like the practice, period. Like, either make it fully day one for everybody or fully exclusive. Don't artificially make this kind of stuff. And then your whole thing about retroactively delaying it. Yeah, that's even worse. Like, like Stellar Blade, we've talked about
Oh yeah,
a
many times.
ton on this, was originally announced as Project Eve. I remember it. I watched the trailer and I was like, hey, that looks pretty cool. Hey, it's coming to Xbox. How cool is that? And then lo and behold, it did not come to Xbox.
Nope.
It, yet, anyway. But yeah, and then they retroactively removed the Xbox logos and call it Stellar Blade. And then we still don't have it. There was the Black Myth Wukong thing where they show it off for Xbox, and then it mysteriously just has all these problems and we just can't figure it out. I don't know what's going on. And then a year to the date, it magically is resolved and shows up on Xbox. It's like, all right, buddy, you're not fooling anybody. Okay, I see what you did there. Like, nah, just quit the timed crap. Make it exclusive or don't do this crap.
Yeah. Uh, Typically when this happens, I don't talk about that game much close to release because I don't like to, give them free marketing. Um,
Hmm.
any talk about these games because it's all free marketing. Be it taking screenshots in a demo and posting it later or anything. Like it's a bad tactic. I don't agree with it, but and honestly, I think this is part of a move because a lot of these developers they they have a sour relationship or ending of relationship with Microsoft because let's be honest, they didn't pay for their next game, and then they kind of take it out on the fan base. We see this all the time, um, and yeah, I'm soured by this as well. So I might not talk about them much, but that's no rest for the wicked. Again, it's coming to Xbox, but later. Next up, we got a new trailer for Onimusha Way of the Sword. Capcom on a bloody roll this year. There's a brand new demo for people to try right now. That's coming out, I believe, in September. Packed month. Combat looks amazing in this game. And by the way, I think Capcom in a very, I keep getting all these companies mixed up. Yeah, Capcom. Capcom in a weird place this year because they're launching new IPs, they're launching sequels, and all this stuff. And it's like when the Game of the Year conversation happens for all these different categories, like I'd be shocked if they don't show up for most of them.
I was about to say, is there a chance we end up with two or even three Capcom titles in every game of the year race and category?
Yeah, I think if I put it as if we don't see at least, you know, Resident Evil 9 and Pragmata in the Game of the Year conversation, something's wrong. you know, I think those are shoe-ins for Game of the Year talk anyway. But yeah, Onimusha coming later this year. Next up, we got a trailer for Ace Combat. I keep getting all these numbers mixed up. Ace Combat 8. By the way, I
It
love.
also has Play Anywhere.
Yeah, play anywhere. Ace Combat 8 looks amazing. Looks absolutely amazing. The stories in these games are so over the top and so unbelievable. That's kind of what makes them good. But this is the first one using proper like next gen tech because like Ace Combat 7 came out kind of like when we just got an Xbox One X. So these games weren't 60 frames per second. They weren't really fully utilizing the One X or the PlayStation 4 Pro. But these game, the new one, looks fantastic. And if you pre-order it, you get access to a remaster of Ace Combat Zero. I don't know if they said that's going to be available separately, because in the past they've kind of done this thing where X game is only available via pre-order but not for sale. I've never liked that tactic, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think people are going to like that. I think that's coming out in October. Again, packed year, but Ace Combat looks incredible. I think if that's like the last one, it should work with flight sticks. So if people play a flight simulator, you should be fine. Next up, and I was so hyped. I wish I actually did a reaction to this. I might do them in the future. Because I lost my marbles with this next game. And this, obviously this one's coming to Xbox as well. Stuntman Hollywood. I loved Stuntman on the PlayStation 2. And then I got Stuntman, I think it was called Stuntman Ignited on the 360. That's also backwards compatible, by the way. And this game, because in the past, you went through certain scenarios that were kind of loosely inspired by, car chases and stuff from movies. But they've clearly made a deal with Universal Studios to borrow licenses. So you have Back to the Future, Fast and the Furious, Death Race, Miami Vice, and Knight Rider. Incredible. And by the way, it's a Saber Interactive game. So that's another one they're making. This game looks incredible. We got a... By the way, all of Saber Interactive's games are announced this way. You get a minute-long CGI trailer, followed by 10 to 15 seconds of gameplay. I'm actually okay with that tactic. But yeah, this looks incredible. Logan, did you ever play the old Stuntman games?
Oh yes, I love those. They were so good. I remember Stuntman Ignition, I think is BC
Yeah. Yeah.
for the 360. And modern Xboxes, and they're so fun. You do all kinds of crazy stunts, explosions, fast chases, basically like the Ryan Gosling film, but a game,
Yep.
and it's just over the top ridiculous, and just love it.
Yeah. I think this game might surprise people because I had the chat open while I was watching it. A lot of people will keep saying Burnout. It's just been so long since we've had a brand new Stuntman game. I think people just don't really know what it is, but I'm hoping it does well because it is a very unique game. Try and get through these scenarios perfectly as you're being filmed, and then you get to rewatch that scene in a film format. So many possibilities you could do with that game.
It and Burnout both deserve to be back. Like, I love both of those.
Yeah,
So.
I will say this about Burnout quickly. At least we are getting Star Wars Galactic Racer, which is by the same developers.
Okay, so Star Wars Burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're actually using the same car crashing technology with the brand new Star Wars game. But hey, fans of these franchises, they're eating something, which is nice. But yeah, Stuntman. I hope this franchise like takes off again because we used to get. It feels like Stuntman games used to be more regular. Thinking back at it, I know for a fact I had all the ones available on the PlayStation 2 and one on 360. Let's see what we got next. Okay, this game. I think this game's going to fly off the shelves when it happens. Ill. So Ill is a single-player, first-person horror shooter coming out in 2027. This game is arguably the most goriest game I've ever seen in my life, in the best way possible. I don't know how I'm going to be able to show that in the future on the channel. Because I try and refrain from gore. That's like too rough. But yeah, this game looks incredible. It's made by a bunch of developers that actually worked on movies such as Longlegs and VHS. And yeah, this game's going to be scary and gory. But yeah, it's coming out in, I think they said February or 2027. Logan, I know you're going to be all over that game.
Oh yes, I am 100% all in on Ill. It is like one of the nastiest, gnarliest, just most just repulsive looking things I've ever seen, and I can't wait for it. It looks great.
Yeah, that looks great. And funny thing is, whenever I've posted about that game, I always get replies saying, "This is a fake game." I've been trying to tell people they're out of their minds. It is real. It was originally announced via a tech demo, I think it's like 6 years ago, and people were asking for this tech demo to be made into a full game. And then they announced it was going to be a full game, and then they waited another like 4 years, and then they announced the Xbox and PlayStation version last year. And the fact that this is going to be on console, I never originally thought it would come to console. Just that the stuff they're doing in the game is too out there, tech wise, but clearly they can handle it, which is great. I think a lot of people are going to be all over this. And if you liked Resident Evil 7, I think all of those fans are going to eat this up.
Yeah, it's published by the guys who did Mundfish,
Yeah,
or like who did Atomic Heart.
yeah,
Sorry, and the people who did this did the film and creature effects for Until Dawn film and some other horror films. So they clearly are expertise in this.
yeah. It makes me think like I would like to see more horror movie makers try and do video games because
Yeah, sounds good to me.
yeah, they clearly get it. Next up, I actually laughed at this trailer, and that is a trailer for the new update for Marathon. Like, learn how to read a room. You have the Destiny fan base, which, let's be honest, they're not holding it together right now. And you show off a brand new update for Marathon. Oof, like, I had the chat open. I'm not even kidding. There must have been tens of thousands of comments, half of which were just Destiny 3. But yeah, Bungie, not the best shown. Learn to read the room. Let's see what we got next. Okay, Control Resonant. I've been all over this game since it was announced. It's a sequel to Control. And yeah, you're playing as Jesse's brother in this kind of new setting. It's still set in Manhattan, but it's semi-open world Manhattan where everything's going wrong. And the story looks super interesting. The only disappointing thing is that, as Logan told us before the show went live, PlayStation and Remedy clearly have a deal because there's 48 hours early access for the deluxe edition on PlayStation. Uh, it's a business tactic I don't like. It's not putting me off the game. But yeah, bit of a shame, especially for a story-based game. Outside of that, Logan, are you looking forward to it?
Oh yeah. I love Remedy. I'm basically everything but FBC Firebreak has been like a winner to me. So like I'm definitely there for this.
Yeah. Let's see what we have next. Okay, so this game I think is also coming to Xbox. I think they can't just talk about the Xbox version yet, but I think it's coming to Xbox the same day, and that is RuneScape Dragon. What's it called? RuneScape Dragonfall. This game fits into the same category as kind of a Valheim or a. I can't remember the other game. There's a look. Can you remember the name of that like sort of survival game that blew up on PC about a year ago? Was it called Enchanted?
Our world?
No, I think it was called Enchanted or something. I'm sure people in chat know. But it's in the same vein as like a Valheim, but you can play it in single player or co-op. But basically, it's an RPG set in the RuneScape universe, and it's 3D. I think people will be all over this. These games seem to be popping off all the time. I think it was called Enshrouded. I'm probably wrong. But anyway, this game looks fantastic. You fight dragons. It's a fantasy game. I'm sure people will be all over it. And the last game, now this one is the sour note of the show, and that is The Lost Wild. It's a first-person dinosaur horror game. This game was announced for Xbox 3 years ago, and it looks like Sony's money had an exclusivity deal. Yeah, that's a bit disappointing. A lot of people thought it was Dino Crisis. Apparently, if you see dinosaurs in a horror game, everyone thinks it's Dino Crisis now. But this is a first-person dino game. It looks great, don't get me wrong, but yeah, the whole paying for exclusivity for games that's already announced for your platform is it's not nice. It's not a thing I like. Logan, what do you think? Because the game looked great, but paying to keep a game off a platform that you've already announced it for, it's just a bad move.
Yeah, it's a scummy move, just point blank.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, it's their business. They run it how they see fit. Um, Annapurna does this. Like
Oh yeah, yeah,
they make great games, and I love their games. Like they're phenomenal, and I'll play it on Xbox when it inevitably comes to Xbox in probably a year. You know, after release, but like the Pathless, all kinds of games they've made are like real art house, really well done. I love their games. Like I'm day one when I can be
yeah.
their games for the most part. And it's disappointing, but it is what it is. I'm still looking forward to the game. I'll just be playing it later. But I'm all for more dinosaur games, especially dino horror games. Like by golly, if we're not gonna get a Dino Cross Crisis, we're just going to manifest it ourselves by just a different IP, I guess, at this point. Because it looks awesome. It's funny how they tweak the wording a little bit so it's like the Lost Wild instead of the Lost
Oh yeah.
World. Because I was like, wait a minute, that's eerily close to Jurassic territory there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I saw the same thing with Silent Hill. We were told that Silent Hill games are going to come back to Xbox regularly, and then they announced an exclusive game for PlayStation. I was like, learn to read the room, Konami. like,
Yeah, we'll get it just later.
yeah. And look, if they bring it to Xbox a year later, you better heavily discount that game, heavily, because it's just a business practice I don't like. And you know what? We'll talk about the logo thing quickly before we get into the predictions, which is the meat of the show. PlayStation didn't show any logos for other consoles, and I saw no outrage online.
How
And
can that be, Jamie?
the funny thing is, right, over this past week, there's been a lot of talk in the gaming space about how Xbox should continue to show logos because it's being transparent about messaging, which is cool, right? But these same people don't go out on social media. They don't say in videos. They don't say on podcasts that PlayStation or Nintendo should. So when they have a showcase and there's no logos, because bear in mind, for the past week, we've had to run with the narrative that, but if Xbox doesn't show a logo for a game, people have to look online to see if it's going to their favorite platform.
Oh, boo freaking who.
Yeah.
Everybody does that.
And do you know what I've seen over the past 24 hours? Nothing. I haven't seen a single post by any of these journalists, any of these bloggers, any of these content creators mention this at all. And do you know why? I've said this before in private chat. I'll mention it publicly. I think these people don't mention it so they don't stop getting access for games from Sony. Right?
Ding ding.
And look, I've had I put it like this. How many times on this channel have I give I was going to say Silent Hill, Square Enix crap for their business practices? A lot, right? I've gave them hell for years, right? Years. I've never held back. I've called them names, right? And do you know what they did when they start bringing Final Fantasy games back to Xbox? They gave me bloody review codes, right? So me, that didn't hold back. I've gotten multiple review codes from Square Enix since, right? I never thought I'd have any contact with people from Square Enix to the point where I was offered to go to Square Enix headquarters in London last year, but I couldn't because of work purposes. But I was offered to go there, right? And I've gave them hell, but people are unwilling to give PlayStation any flack at all about anything because they will lose access. And it's crystal clear, right? I don't see people at PlayStation saying, But what consoles are these on? I don't see people at PlayStation saying bring these games multi-platform. None of this stuff. But we see it on a daily basis that hey, Xbox has to put their logos on everything so people don't have to look online and use Google because that's so confusing. And these people want Xbox to put their games on everything because it's all nice and it's this kumbaya attitude, which I think people are fed up from. We weren't really going to talk about this, but screw it, I'm throwing it in now before we get into the predictions. The fact that I've seen this past week, people lose their marbles. You know, you have Asha Sharma come out and say, look, they missed the mark when it comes to the logo thing, right? They've listened. But the amount of people I saw reply to her saying, please continue to put your other console logos in trailers for, transparency. These same people don't go out there and mention stuff to PlayStation. And it's crazy. Not a single person. Look, I this is a small channel, the mom and pop style channel, right? I don't have the kind of outreach as some of these other content creators do, right? Where they have like hundreds of thousands of followers, right? They do not have the balls to mention it to Sony or Nintendo, and it's
Not because they'd get told to get wrecked if they did.
yeah, and it's crazy because like it's so blatantly obvious. It's so obvious, right? And the fact that here I am, I have to mention it, and I hate the fact that it's a topic. Logos is a topic, right? Crazy, absolutely crazy. And I think that it's a shame, and we already have fanboys in chat. I see, saying all these games are coming to PlayStation. Like, this is the big problem, and this has been my biggest problem. I don't care that more people get to play games. It bothers me that the conversation isn't about the games anymore. Because the second Microsoft start doing multi-platform games, people weren't saying, hey, look at this cool new expansion and what you could do in, let's say, Starfield, the new expansion. Hey, what can we do in Fable, such as features? No, people are talking about platforms. So, like, the whole multi-platform thing from Microsoft, it's led from people talking about games to platforms, right? Go to IGN, GameSpot, Eurogamer, any of these outlets. Whenever Microsoft announces, I'll put it this, on Sunday, let's say Microsoft announces a brand new game called, I don't know, Legends of the Elderflower, right? Just made that up. And let's say this brand new fantasy game is going to PlayStation. I guarantee you won't see any posts from GameSpot, IGN, Eurogamer talk about even what genre is it. They're going to talk about platforms. Like, it's crazy. And and by the way, over the past 24 hours, I've seen people defend the whole lack of logos thing from PlayStation. So we have to be okay with logos for other platforms on Xbox stuff, but not expect them at all, even ask for them on PlayStation. That's the double standards I'm talking about. When I'm watching a game trailer, I don't care what logo's at the end. But if you are doing these moves, it looks weak. It really looks weak. And like people, and I see in chat, people only want Xbox to be transparent because they held to a higher standard. They're held to a higher standard, right? If Xbox does something that's considered transparent and good, they don't ask PlayStation or Nintendo to do it. That's glaringly obvious. And we've seen it for years now, and I'm seeing it in the chat right now, where people are okay with Xbox doing said good move, but don't want PlayStation to do it. I don't care what logo's in a trailer. I don't care who gets to play what game, but the fact that people only mention it for Xbox stuff, that's the problem. Right? And I actually have the balls to talk about this stuff. It's glaring to see certain people don't. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up quickly because it's really, really obvious. Logan, we've talked about this a lot. What's your opinion on the whole thing before we get into the big predictions?
Yeah, you and I are on the same page on this, basically. And, I'll just say shout out to the community for, you know, checking spades for being spades. I'll just put it that way about this stuff. And like, calling attention to things where it's like, well, where's his energy, for other stuff, and why is it okay for here but not for this, it's okay for thee but not for me. And it's ridiculous. It's a double standard. It's a joke is what it is. And for the people like all the people in their little ivory towers, Stan Fran blog boy types that are like, you know, "Oh, well, you see it, for PlayStation, it's this, but then for Xbox, it's, they can't do this. This is not right. It's anti-consumer." Just like get out of here. It's ridiculous. Everybody knows what it is. Some people just want their yellow chairs at the end of the day and overlook things, and then some don't, and it is what it is. But it's just really funny and obvious, and it's just I'm glad people are finally aware of it and fed up with it and, talking about it openly. And it's just again, for Asha and specifically, I think people should give her grace on this. And this is not me white knighting at all. This is like I have a point. It's like, look, for somebody coming into an industry who has not been involved in this specific industry, I can understand how if you're in a transition period and you're taking over for somebody who's been here over a decade and you're in your first show, it's the first transition show, that you're like trying to just keep things as even keel as possible. Like, we're not going to do anything too drastic or too, revelatory. We're just going to, like, okay, this is how they did things, so we'll keep things par for core. And, these things have been set in motion for a while. We're going to just let this play out for this show. And then I'll make my decisions once I have, like, a whole calendar year under my belt and have figured out the industry and have learned from this show and other stuff. Like, this is one she inherited. Like, she didn't fully, completely plan this show, would be my assumption. So, like, on one hand, I'm like, yes, I think people should give her some slack on this because, like, I get it, but she is new to this. On the other hand, it does seem a little like what you talking about, Willis? When she is like, when they say, "We hear you," or about what the core wants and needs and has been talking about, and you'd have to be an ostrich with your head in the sand not to have heard and seen Xbox folks absolutely moaning and wincing about these logos for like a year plus now. Like, you would have to be tonally unaware to not notice that at all. Like Globriel and others said, bare minimum, don't advertise the company that's trying to kill you in your own showcase. It's really not that hard. It's not that big of an ask. To just where it's not even saying don't put the games elsewhere. It's saying just don't be obvious about it. All right? Don't don't invite the fox into the hen house and then be surprised when the fox eats all the chickens. It's like what do you expect to happen? It's it is what it is. I don't I hate it that this is the kind of world we live in, but it is the world we live in. Ideally, we'd play everything everywhere, you know, but this is not a Disney cartoon where the animals are helping Cinderella get ready for the ball and like everything's hold hands, kumbaya, you know. This this company's trying to kill you, take your lunch money and beat you over the head with a shovel. This is not your friend. So quit leaving the door open and being surprised when they rob you blind and it's a disaster for your platform. You're blasting your feet off with a cannon, for crying out loud. It's it's just logos, but it means so much more than just logos for multi-plat games. It represents a whole, like Jez put in his article, an whole era of mistrust. And I can't believe a word that comes out of your mouth, because you say it's going to be 4 games. Lo and behold, it's way more than 4. And oh yeah, by the way, Indiana Jones and Starfield were in those. It just miraculously came about just a few months later. How coincidental. Like, no. Like, they have had a bunch of ground to make up with trust. They've done a great job with it, but there is a reason people are on pins and needles about everything they do or don't do. So to say that we hear you, this was a mistake. Yes, it was a mistake, and props to her for owning it. She actually has the balls to own something and to say that they goofed up, which is a good sign. She's got a good head on her shoulders. She's smart. She's figuring it out. But so on one hand, give her a break, give her some grace. She's new. She entered a new industry with no previous experience in it. But on the same time, this is why you got to be watchful and let these people know these things, because otherwise things just slide that shouldn't slide. Sorry that was long winded, but that's a topic that has been bugging us for a long time.
Yeah, do you know what's funny? We have someone in chat that's clearly fanboying. Um, After everything we've said about like the hypocrisy and like the lack of logos from PlayStation, how no one's demanded, this is how you could tell like certain group of people are overly entitled. This person's never disagreed with anything I've said, right? Xbox is held to a higher standard. They have to show trailers with logos and for other platforms, and no one else brings it up. No one brings it up for other companies, and this person has no problem with that, right? That's the hypocrisy I'm talking about. If someone disagrees with me, that's perfectly fine. If people want logos and trailers, that's perfectly fine. But you can't just say it for Xbox. You can't. If you go out there and say, I want all of these companies to put these platform logos in their trailers, and I'm going to at these companies to do it, hey, good on you. That's great. But I'm not saying that. In fact, I haven't seen a single person in the industry do that. No one added PlayStation yesterday. No one added Nintendo, and I think they have a direct next week or something. At least that's the rumor. It's like these people aren't going to add Nintendo because they'll lose access.
If you think Sony's scary, Nintendo is like super soldier serum scary.
Yeah. And if it was up to me, every game people would play would be on every platform, right? You play Uncharted on a Switch, you play, Super Smash Brothers on a PlayStation, Zelda on an Xbox, all that stuff, right? But we don't live in this super happy world where everyone gets like everything and it's all nice and stuff. Like, no, these companies clearly need competition, right? We've seen in the past what it looks like when these companies don't have competition, right? That's how Xbox got. Let's be honest, how the whole 2013 thing happened. That's how.
Arrogant.
Yeah, that's how the PlayStation 3 had its launch, right? They all learned from it, but the fact that those things happen is because they got cocky. And what we're seeing right now is even part of their fan base, not even the fans, but the fanboys, they okay with Xbox being third, PlayStation being number 2. And they just want to keep on pushing that. They don't want anything to get better. They don't want competition to thrive. They just want their own little thing. Because, bear in mind, have you noticed how the conversation is all of a sudden, I can't wait to play Xbox games, but it used to be Xbox games are trash? So how come these games are good all of a sudden? That's odd. But yeah, that's the logo talk done. That was just briefly going to be a quick 2-minute thing, but anyway.
My bad.
No, it's fine. Just it need to be talked about because I'm not saying any talk or pushback from like. Did Eurogamer post about it? Did IGN post about it? No. None of them, none of these people are atting. Like, I don't see IGN journalists. I'm doing air quotes with journalists, but I'm not seeing IGN journalists at PlayStation saying, "But I'm confused. I had to Google this." Nope, not saying that stuff. But anyway, let's get into the predictions because it's the Xbox Game Showcase in just a few days. Look, I'm super hyped for the show because we don't get E3 anymore, and I think that's a huge shame. I think the gaming industry's kind of really lost out on something special with the lack of E3. Fun fact: I was actually going to go to E3 in 2020, and then we saw what happened.
The world ended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the world ended. You know, the toilet paper apocalypse happened. But here we are in 2026. The showcase is on Sunday, 6 p.m. UK time, I believe. I have a bunch of my predictions wrote down, which we'll get into in a minute. Hint, hint, JRPG fans should be happy if I'm right. But, Logan, what's your predictions?
Um, man, that's honestly kind of tough. For this one because okay, like basically, I'll explain my rationale for why I'm saying it's tough because I'm not entirely sure if they're gonna have like a big event for the 25th anniversary on the 25th anniversary, you know?
Yeah.
Because if they do a separate event totally, then that would change some of my predictions, because I'd say some things might be more likely for then than now. But if they are shaping this up to be a 25th anniversary event and maybe also have other events, it kind of makes things murkier. But one thing I can say is, obviously Gears will be there. Like that's in stone. Like take it to the bank. Gears is there. And there's going to be the direct afterwards. I think State of K3 will make a brief cameo. I think there'll be a little like, oh, sign up for an alpha or beta, we're, upgrading this to AAA status and
Yeah.
like see how much better our development skills have gotten since State of K2 and stuff like that. I think that'll be there. I believe Spyro's going to be there. I'm pretty confident Spyro will be there. And whether it's Spyro 4 or whatever they call it, the next Spyro will be there. And I this is one of the hedged ones I was talking about. Like I think there'll be a 25th anniversary BC batch here. And if it's not here, it would be at a event on the 25th anniversary. But since I don't know for sure if there is one or not or how they're doing all that, I'll just say it'll be here. I'm confident there'll be one this year. And if there's not, then, well, a lot of people have been bamboozled, led astray, and will be very mad. But I think it'll be there. I think there'll be some other revivals, put it that way, of some stuff from the past to celebrate 25 years. And Halo will be there, of course. Fable will be there. Let's see. I liked your prediction of Witcher, so I think I'll borrow that one. I think Witcher remake will be there. Let's see. I think some other like I said, some other callbacks and franchises or tie-ins or spiritual successors will be there. This was something kind of mentioned in Jez's article in his predictions, but I kind of agree with it. I think we might get a tease to a tease of StarCraft at here.
Yeah.
Like basically like a a splash screen or a brief little snippet that shows like yes, StarCraft is back. Tune in more to BlizzCon. That seems like totally something they would do. So I could see that happening. Um let's see what else. Uh I don't know. Maybe some more Japanese ports that we've been wanting for a while, even though Tokyo Game Show has kind of become the default for those because, like, especially not just Japanese, but Asian games in general, like Korean and stuff. Those usually show up at the Tokyo games. But since Xbox has been so chummy with Square and Sega Atlas lately, I think a big new game from both Sega and Atlas separately from each of them will be there, and I think a Square title will be there as well. I think they'll have a big Japanese segment. And let's see what else. Um just some fun nods to the future with Helix. Like Helix isn't going to be there, but I think they'll hint at things to come. And overall, I think it's just going to be a really good show. How about you? What concrete kind of ideas do you have?
Right, this is a pretty lengthy list, but I like to think of it. It's pretty realistic. But I thought your list was really good. Um, let's see. By the way, I'm trying to finish writing down my list as I speak. Okay, there we go. So I think all these things will be there. Some of which seem kind of outlandish. Some of which seem more, as I'd say, more seem kind of realistic. So here we go. So I think they're going to open up with the Call of Duty campaign trailer. By the way, we didn't actually talk about Modern Warfare during the show. My quick synopsis of the game shown. This is the first next gen only, quote unquote next gen Call of Duty game.
Just the Switch too, as well.
Yeah, and the Switch 2. First Call of Duty on Switch since, I think, Call of Duty Ghosts.
On the Wii U.
Yeah, Wii U 2013. And that was the last time. But yeah, this game's going to be... Like, I'll put it this. I love Call of Duty campaigns. Love them. Love myself some first-person shooter campaigns. Black Ops 7 is the first one I haven't finished. Like, I just can't bring myself to it. The design of the spongy enemies, I hate the weapons in Black Ops 7. That's why I only play Warzone with a friend now instead of the regular multiplayer. Black Ops 6 was peak. But anyway, Modern Warfare 4, it looks fantastic. The graphics look amazing. It's set in Korea. The story's going to go places we haven't apparently seen before. Did you watch the trailer, by the way, Logan?
No, I honestly haven't seen it, but I read the recaps and it sounds great, and I'm looking forward to it. Like I love the FPS campaigns, so
Yeah.
I might not get it day one. I might wait the year till it inevitably comes to Ultimate,
Yeah.
but it should be good.
Yeah. I'm like one of the 5% of people where I play specifically for the campaign.
Same.
I just love. Before I get into my list, I just want to mention it quickly. I absolutely love first-person shooter campaigns. Like, yeah, they are corridor shooters, but I just like the experience of just. And those are games I play on hard. I think that makes the experience way better. You're taking cover. I just think Call of Duty as a campaign just works so well. But hey, I'm sure this one's going to be great. I love the Modern Warfare setting, plus the story after the past two games was. It was going places. It was definitely going places. But I'm just happy to see Modern Warfare back because we've had Black Ops for 2 years in a row, and I think it's time. I think the fan base is ready for a full-on Modern Warfare experience using like. Look, people are thinking like Call of Duty. The past few Call of Duty games have looked great, which they have, but like we haven't seen them being able to fully utilize the current gen technology, and thankfully, we're going to see that. It only took 6 years. But yeah, so the campaign looks great. They showed snippets of multiplayer. I actually like the look of the movement. And also, they've showed off screenshots for DMZ. As an Arc Raiders fan, let me tell you, I want them to have competition. I hope Arc Raiders gets kind of like stomped on a little bit because they need the competition. This whole one map every 5 months thing is not working for me. And plus I love, like, who doesn't love Call of Duty gameplay? Like, as a first person shooter, you're getting a good experience. So that in an extraction game, oof, it's going to be amazing. Oh yeah, and some photos actually went out yesterday. The big battle mode in the new multiplayer is going to feature tanks. We've kind of had tanks in the past, but not like this. So, like, I think you're even going to have Battlefield fans come over for that experience. But anyway, that's Call of Duty. So yeah, I think they're going to open up with a campaign trailer for Modern Warfare 4, kind of like what they used to back with E3. I think they're going to show a sizzle reel of Sega retro games that are coming back, because as of we know right now, these games are still in development, such as Jet Set Radio. There's actually 2 Jet Set Radio games in development: Crazy Taxi, Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, and I think a lot of people have been waiting a long time for these games. I think it's ideal time to show these games off, and I think we'll see it on the Xbox show. They have a close relationship with Sega, have done for a while. Next up, I think they're going to show off a Clockwork Revolution release date. We had a huge gameplay reveal last year. Game looks fantastic. It's In Exile's biggest game to date with, let's be honest, actual funding from scratch. And, that's a big RPG for them. It's their biggest game to date. Very ambitious single-player RPG. I do predict that game's going to come out in May next year. Just with the heavy amount of games that's coming this year, I originally thought it would come out this year. I don't see it coming out anytime soon just because of the stacked period. Next up, I think we're going to have a full-on release date for Persona 4 Revival. Last year, we did get a brief trailer for it, which looks really great. And in my opinion, Persona 4, it's the best one. So that looks great. I'm sure we'll get a release date. I do think that's coming out in the summer, so August. I 1,000%, hell, 1,000,000,000%. I think that we're going to see a trailer for Persona 6. It's been a long time coming, let's be honest. Right? Persona 5 came out in 2016. It's been a long time. So I think it's time. And there have been some leaks, but people are making fan-made artwork to make it look like the main menu screen, which is actually looks really good, to be honest. But yeah, I think we're going to see Persona 6 there. Now this one, I think it's going to happen. I think Final Fantasy VII Part 3 trailer is going to be there. It just seems like...
Oh, Salt. I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, just because like they've improved their relationship with Square Enix over the past year or so, and like if you don't have PlayStation paying for the exclusivity period, and you don't have them basically paying for marketing, if you have Xbox announce that game there, that's a huge splash. Yesterday, like Final Fantasy VII Part 3 was trending on Twitter, right? And there's no mention of it at all. Right, people just expecting it to be there, and like even Square Enix has said that the exclusivity deal hurt their sales, right? And considering how good that remake is, my God, that should have sold like 30 million copies. That should be up there with Witcher 3 sales, in my opinion. And I think if they have that on the stage there, that'll be trending. I think that might actually make the biggest splash of the night, just because of how many people are waiting for it. Right, Kingdom Hearts 4. We saw gameplay 3 years ago. It was only like 5 seconds of gameplay. But considering Kingdom Hearts 3 had a huge gameplay reveal on the Xbox stage at E3 in 2018, I think it's going to happen. I think enough time has passed. And I think the fan base, they've been waiting long enough. They just need to be put out of the misery. Just show them the game. I do think we're going to see a trailer. And this kind of leaked already. The Xbox Elite 3 controller. There's images floating around online. I'm not going to post them. But they look real, from what I can tell. The only thing I didn't like is the font in the buttons. But that I'm not going to complain about a font. But yeah, the Xbox Elite Controller 3. They're also working on a kind of a web-only controller. Kind of like how the Stadia controller works. I think that kind of makes sense if you're getting into cloud gaming. I think that'll be there as well. I 100% think we're going to see a huge Game Pass sizzle reel of games that's coming to Game Pass that have already been announced, such as a Plague Tale Resonance. I keep getting that game's name mixed up. A Plague Tale Legacy Resonance, whatever it's called. That's going to be there. That's meant to be coming out this summer. The Expanse, Osiris Reborn. That's already been announced for Game Pass, but they said they're going to show off more gameplay soon. So 100% think that's going to be there. I do think there's going to be some sort of Halo announcement that has nothing to do with the remake. Like the
Please
studios,
be a Flood spinoff.
yeah.
Please.
I think that they know that they can't have decades in between releases again, right? Or like 6 years or whatever, right? I think they know that they have to have multiple games in development at the same time. It looks like they're making multiple games at the same time because, as far as I know, the remake of Combat Evolved is being developed mainly by external studios. That came out kind of the other day. And they have said multiple games are in the works. So I think that we will see some sort of Halo project. Will it be Halo 6? I honestly think enough time has passed, really. You know, the team that made the campaign for Halo Infinite, what have they been doing for the past several years? Yes, they've shifted to Unreal Engine 5, but I do think Halo 6 or Halo Infinite 2 is going to be there. And yes, since I saw this in chat, I'll mention it. Doom's DLC is coming out this year, right? It's meant to be game-sized. If that isn't there, I'd be shocked. If anything, I think they'd be saving that for QuakeCon, which is in August, I believe. But like Bethesda should be having a huge presence here. I do think we're going to get another update for Starfield. Not necessarily an expansion, but more features. Stellar Blade. I 1,000,000,000% think we're going to get Stellar Blade announced for Xbox there. The developers have already said...
I hope so, man. Day one.
Yeah, because it would be nice to play Project Eve on an Xbox.
Like we were told.
Yeah, like we were told. But, the developers have said multiple times this year, specifically over the past month or so, that they shifted into a multi-platform strategy. They said that the sequel is going to be multi-platform. It looks like the actress or the model for mocap, it looks like she was brought back in to do motion capture for the sequel. And wouldn't it be crazy if they actually announced Stellar Blade 2 on the Xbox show?
That would be sick. And by the way, this random side note, isn't she like the wife of the head designer of the game or something like that?
Something like that.
I can't remember. I know she's somehow tied to the game team.
Yeah. Either way, I'm pretty sure he's happy. But yeah, Stellar Blade, Xbox. I 1,000% think we're going to see Stellar Blade there, be it 1 or part 2. This one I did have on my list, but I'm going to mention it anyway. Death Stranding. Okay, so she is married to the creator.
Oh, kudos to him. He's winning in life.
Congrats, man. Congrats. Nice one. That's all I'll say. Anyway, yeah, Death Stranding. I think Death Stranding I would have liked to have seen this year. I just think that the way things are moving, I don't think we're going to see Death Stranding for another year. And as people know, I love Death Stranding. Logan loves Logan has the collector's edition of Death Stranding.
I have a baby lamp in a jar from Death Stranding. I love it.
By the way, I've been meaning to ask this. How do you explain that to people?
We just don't talk about the baby and the formaldehyde lamp.
Yeah. Just because, it is if you see it in the game, it makes sense of why there's the baby in the jar thing. But in real life, I can't imagine how I would explain that to people. So there's this.
It sounds like a watch list trigger. Thing. It's like you go to somebody's house, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's like it's about this video game where you turn people's internet back on. And you deliver stuff. Funny thing is, that's all you do in Death Stranding, but I absolutely love it. And for people that have not played Death Stranding yet, it's in Game Pass. Play that. It's freaky in the best way possible. You can make poo grenades. That's a thing.
Poo grenades.
Yeah. I 1,000% think this is going to happen. I think Dispatch is going to shadow drop during the show.
I like that.
They said it's coming this summer. They haven't really shown anything more of the Xbox version outside of the announcement trailer. And if you're going to have a shadow drop of that game, I think it's the tier of game that actually makes sense for a shadow drop, where it's a bigger scale indie game where everyone's heard of it. It did well at the Game Awards last year. I think a lot of people would like that. Next up, I do think so. Ubisoft doesn't have a showcase this year. And if they haven't announced it yet. I do think we will see something Ghost Recon related when it comes to their new game. Uh,
Wow, that's a throwback.
yeah, I mean, they do have a team working on new Ghost Recon games. They do have a team allegedly making Splinter Cell remake, but in my opinion, that game doesn't exist. By the way, fun fact: when I was doing Boom Show yesterday, just for giggles, I looked to see when I first predicted a Splinter Cell remake would be announced. 2017. I made a post about how I think that there's going to be a Splinter Cell remake announced on the Xbox stage at E3. And here we are in 2026, still no Splinter Cell. I get no Splinter Cell, so I'm not going to put it in today's predictions because I'm being spiteful. Next up, we have the new Activision IP. I think that Activision, well, we know for a fact Activision is making a new single-player action-adventure role-playing game set in a brand new universe. I do think we are going to see that because it was low-key announced, 3.5 years ago? And considering like how Activision likes to market their games, I think we'll see it there. There's a studio called Nowhere. I believe this is the studio that they also used to make, or the developers used to make the Arkham games. That game was announced 3 years ago. I think we'll see that there. Next up we have, and Logan might like this one, the StarCraft shooter. I think it'll be there. It just seems like if you have
Very
two,
nice.
yeah, if you have two StarCraft shooters in development, and that IP's been dormant for so long, bloody hell, I think StarCraft 2's expansion came out in 2014, and people have just been clamoring for a new StarCraft game. They don't really care, and with a rich universe like that, why not? Wouldn't it be funny if one of the shooters is actually a StarCraft Ghosts game?
I was just about to say that. Like, what? How cool would it be as part of 25th anniversary festivities? Even if it wasn't a remake or a remaster, they just straight up dropped a port of whatever was available of Ghosts and made it playable. Like that. That would just be so cool.
Yeah. Next up, we have a sequel to a beloved Xbox IP. Now, this is generic as possible. um, like Xbox has so many different old IPs that they can kind of just have any of them worked on at any time. Like they have a lot of studios, right? Double Fine, they're making a big game at the minute. Like Kiln wasn't their big game they were making. Obsidian are making multiple games, but like I think that the way they've teased things in the past, we could see an older IP come back. Like Spyro the Dragon leaked, right? Like Spyro the Dragon 4, it's happening, right?
Mhm.
That's why I'm not putting on the list because it's a predictions list. But like as far as we know, Spyro the Dragon 4 is happening. I'm guessing that's going to be there. I mean, why not? And by the way, it's been so long since we've had a Spyro the Dragon game. My God, like, PlayStation 2?
We had Spyro, Hero's Tale, and I can't remember. There was another one on the OG Xbox and PS2, and then we had Year of the Dragon on 360. And then that was the last we heard from our scaly friend until Reignited Trilogy.
Wow, so it's been a while. Uh, excuse me. Let's see what we've got. Okay, I was going to mention the backwards compatible stuff, but I think that's going to be for the 25th anniversary.
So you think there will be a separate event?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they did one for their 20th anniversary. I think 25th's more important. Uh,
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe I'm being
I
greedy.
was hedging a bit.
Yeah, but I think BC stuff will be there. Funny enough, right? The whole Helix thing. I want to talk about this quickly before I finish my list. when they said that there's not going to be any Helix stuff on this showcase, I saw people angry online. Excuse me. I saw people angry online, and all I could think is like, why do people want to see a console a year and a half out? Like, I don't know why people want to cut the legs off this generation so early. like, yeah, like the Xbox Series X isn't even 6 years old. Like, just calm down. We'll get it eventually. I'm sure the Helix is going to be awesome. We'll talk about it when there's more to talk about. But people have this obsession of needing to see Helix now. Right? Like, it's okay. Like, these games are still being optimized to the fullest for Series X, Series S, right? Calm, right? We'll see Helix when it's ready. If anything, I don't want to hear anything about Helix till June next year. Like,
Well, we did. Jason did say that we will hear more about Helix later this year. So we will hear something. It's just a matter of how much detail.
well, he's what I want, not what I think will happen with Helix.
Oh, okay.
What I want them to do, if they have to mention it this year, literally have Jason Ronald come out on stage and say Helix and then walk off.
Mic drop, and
Yeah.
you just leave.
Yeah, no date, no anything. Like, look, bit of a tangent. I think the Xbox Series X is the best console that's ever been made. Right, when it comes to its feature set, its performance, right? They came out with a 4K console in 2024. I can't talk today. 2020. You know, it does 120 frames in a lot of games. Like, it's a very capable console. I don't care. I think, look, I'm going to cover the Helix every week when it's announced or whenever we have stuff to talk about. But we don't need the Helix now, right? We don't need a PlayStation 6 now. We need great games. And that's what I've been trying to talk about for 2 years, right? Stop the next-gen console talk. Yes, I've got next-gen in the title, but let's be honest, when it comes to titles for podcasts, you don't really have much space, and that kind of works. But when it comes to next-gen in general, just be quiet, right? Just be quiet. You know, talk about your Series X. Talk about your PlayStations, your PlayStation 5s, whatever they want to do on their show. But, like, I think, bit of a tangent before I talk about the rest of my list. Can we be honest? This generation...
Sure, we're always honest, Jamie. I
Yeah.
don't lie to you. I don't know.
But I think this generation, we don't need it to end as quickly as people are acting like.
Especially if they're gonna price gouge you out the, blankety blank for stuff because of current events.
Yeah.
Like, let it sit for a bit.
Yeah, just let it sit, let it simmer, let them cook, you know. And one of the things I always talk about is if you look at Prey on the 360, right? Great game. If you look at Prey and compare it against something like Halo 4, right? Both first-person games, same console, but they look generations apart. Because the developers over time, like, we were getting better looking games, better performing games as the generation went on. And it feels like that a lot of developers just want to use brute horsepower for things rather than optimize stuff. That's why there's so much next-gen talk, right? They're talking about Unreal Engine 6 because they don't want to optimize for Unreal Engine 5. That's the hill I'm going to die on. Right? Yeah, the 360 is my favorite console of all time because of how that console went. You know, just the feature set we got over time. The games that generation are disgusting. The variety we had, amazing, right? Favorite generation of all time.
People were risky and ballsy too with development.
Yeah. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why I want these companies to just calm down with the next gen talk. Like, just stop it. If anything, and I know other people, other Xbox content creators who I love, are not going to like when I say this. I think Microsoft and Sony should delay their consoles for an extra year.
I would rather pay less and get a more optimized experience on top of it than get it sooner and pay a ton and it not be ready.
And bear in
Just
mind,
say.
I know for a fact that, when you talk about hardware, it gets more views, right? When
Hmm.
when you make a video about a console, it gets more views than a video game. That being said, I just want these consoles to be a couple of years out, right? We still have plenty more power to think about it like this. We might have a scenario where Elder Scrolls skips two generations. Like, come on, right? Um. Anyway, I'll get back to my list in a second. It's just I want to see these consoles thrive, and I think, look, we see what Grand Theft Auto looks like. Beautiful game, and that's running on current gen hardware. I think these developers, they can squeeze way more out of these consoles. That's just me. Anyway, excuse me. Back to my list. So the Witcher remake, I completely think that they're gonna show it there. It was announced a couple of years ago with a still image. The team that's making the Witcher 3 expansion, Songs of the Past, they are making this whole game. And as far as I know, it will be their first full game. They've been working with CD Projekt Red for a very long time. I think it's time. Witcher games over the next couple of years, I think, are meant to be, aren't too far out. But yeah, we'll see. Next up, right, and this is kind of a throwing a dart in the dark or whatever that saying is. Fallout 3 remake, right? I'm taking the broken clock is right twice a day approach when it comes to Fallout 3 because it's made so much sense to announce this game at different points in time, and it's just never happened, right? Game Awards with the Shadow Drop, never happened. Season finale of Fallout Season 2 with the Shadow Drop, never happened, right? So I think that if you want all eyes on this, there's been legit leaks with Todd McFarlane's toy company, McFarlane Toys, where Fallout 3 Remastered was literally listed, right?
The toys never lie.
Yeah, toys
Ever.
never lie. I mean, how many times has plot points been spoiled because of, like, Star Wars toys? You know?
Oh, so many times. Like, there's literally only like a couple I can think of where they the toys were put out so early that they had changed the plot of the story by the
Yeah.
time the film came out. But besides that, they are like 99.9 right.
And, if that's the case, if they are actually going to do, like, merch for this thing as well, which it looks like, yeah, I think Fallout's going to be there. And the thing is, all they have to do is just show a teaser. Whether it comes out at a super later date or not, like, we know it's in development. They've hinted at it so many times. Todd Howard's basically said, we know what you're waiting for. It's Fallout 3 Remastered. And Fallout 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. I would love to see a Shadow Drop. And if they do, I'll be giddy. And I'll somehow find space for that game. But I think we're gonna have to wait for it. And you know what? Considering how packed this year is, I'm okay with it. I really am. But a tiny bit of me, I really wanted to Shadow Drop. But I think that'll be there. Wolfenstein 3, right? I think that'll be there. I think that they have multiple teams over at Machine Games, and they were making this, and as far as I heard, they were making it concurrently with Indiana Jones. I think it's time. And plus, where that story was going, my God, just think about who you're gonna fight in a mech. Next up, we have OD. We got gameplay kind of a couple of months ago. Actually, I think that might have been back in October. That game looks stunning. Kojima Productions working with Xbox to bring out this game. It kind of looks like what Kojima wanted to make PT originally. And I think this game's going to be nuts. Psychological horror unlike anything we've seen before. And considering how crazy Kojima's games are, my God, this should be nuts. Right, this is something Kojima related, which I kind of had briefly. I do think we are going to see Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 with just a brief sizzle reel. Now, one of the last things they're going to show, in my opinion, or the last thing of the Xbox showcase, is Blade gameplay. They announced Blade like 3 years ago. It's not a fully open world game, from what I can tell. It's going to have like its own separate little regions. I think it's time. I think it's time. And developers from Arcane have kind of hinted about the game multiple times. Yes, it's still in development. I know people think it's cancelled. It's not. It's still in development. But I think that's how they're going to end the show. And Gears of War E-Day. Gears of War E-Day is going to be huge. Gears of War, we haven't had a brand new Gears game for 6 years. Right? It's been so long. Like, to the point where a launch title for Xbox Series X and S was an expansion for Gears of War 5, right? So it's been so long. I think it's almost time. I do think, though, one of the things that will happen is that I think they'll announce a online beta that will drop that day. Gears of War's had kind of a few online betas. I think they did for Ultimate Edition 4 and 5. I think, if you're going to get the Gears of War community really hyped again because it's been so long, they need to pop off somehow. And I think if you do that with an online beta that day, 100% think that's going to happen. And show off the new technology with the Gears of War campaign. Dom's back. I think they're going to have a huge emphasis on Dom because, my God, the way his life ended, hit people emotionally back in the day. But yeah, Gears of War ED, I think it's going to be a huge show. And I mean, hell, they're having a whole direct about it. And when you have people like myself, like, I love Gears of War campaigns. I've played 2's campaign alone probably maybe 30 times, at least. One of the best co-op experiences I've ever had. So I think they're going to show off a lengthy amount of campaign followed by horde mode. I'm going to say something a bit controversial with Gears. So the graphics we saw, when they showed it off, looked amazing, right? And if anyone's going to make a game look like that, it's the Coalition. They've been making games with Unreal since day one. A lot of the team that are at the Coalition were people that worked on the Gears of War trilogy at Epic, right? And then when they formed Black Tusk Studios, they were working on a stealth game, which I still wish came out. So, like, most of the people that have been making this game have worked on Unreal Engine their entire career. So, like, I think that game we're going to get is going to look like that trailer, right? People are calling it CGI. Like, I really do think we're going to see a game that looks like that. But I've seen this back and forth online where some people want, like, a sort of rejuvenated gameplay, like a smoother, modern game. I'm putting it out there, I kind of want the gameplay to be the same. I like Gears for Gears. I like the third-person combat of Gears. I like the way you snap to a wall. I like the way you sprint. All that stuff. I want Gears to be Gears with the fanciest graphics and, just, telling the story of Emergence Day. I know I see people split on that, but that's what I want from Gears. And I think we'll see that as well. So, yeah. Big emphasis on campaign, some of multiplayer with a day one, or should I say shadow drop that day, and obviously some horde. I think Microsoft's going to have a good show. And look, the attitude I've seen from Xbox over the past 3 months is incredible. Like, I haven't seen this much positivity from Xbox for a long time. And the fact that they're all back out on social media, talking to people, being proactive in the community, all the new leadership changes, even though they're small, in my opinion, they all add up, So I like these moves I'm seeing. And let's say we do see other logos there, right? If that means in future they'll change stuff, cool. Oh, I didn't mention the big one. Exclusives. I think, considering Gears is only announced right now for Xbox and PC, I think that's where the new regime really takes off. I think exclusives will be a thing again from Gears of War ED. What do you think, Logan?
Well, first off, great list.
Cheers.
I love it. That would be a killer show in my opinion. Love all the stuff, especially OD. Part of me wondered about OD being there, and then part of me wondered if Maybe they'd throw Keeley a bone because you know how much he loves him, so Kojima. That
Yeah.
maybe they would have some OD there. But, you know, I agree. That sounds like a killer show. As for exclusives and Gears, I think you're right. I think Asha's first, like, I am, look at me, I'm the captain now, is with Gears. And they make it clear that our core franchises, like of a certain set, will be exclusive. We already gave our word about some of these, and so they will happen to honor contracts, even though I would say forget them, pay whatever penalties, rip them up, incinerate them, move on. But I get it, honor your word. But going forward, things from certain franchises are just going to be only here. Everything else we'll evaluate. But you can always expect these for Xbox and Xbox only, and PC for the well actuallys. But yeah, I agree. I think Gears is the first one, and they make it clear that Gears began with Xbox, and it's just going to be with Xbox. We're bringing Gears back to the beginning, and that includes back to where it began and where it should be always.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that when people are watching that show, you're going to have a subset of people that they're just going to be waiting to see what logos at the end of these trailers. Um, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I do think exclusives need to come back. The whole topic about being platforms has really annoyed me. Um,
In
like
fact,
start
we have to talk about it every
yeah
show. Just
yeah
like that the whole legal thing with Activision Blizzard for 2 years.
Yeah. By the way, that used to annoy me so much. How this week in ABK, FTC, oh my god, that was drilling a hole in my head. I hated it. Like
The
it was,
CMA said this. Can you believe Brazil
yeah,
responded with that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was so drawn out, and I feel the same way about this whole logo thing. Like, look, I think Gears of War ED is going to blow people's minds, right? It's going to be absolutely phenomenal, right? It's going to, the graphics alone, and this is the coalition, that's what they do, right? It's going to be incredible. But I guarantee you, if they could show off the craziest new set piece, the craziest new thing in multiplayer, a new gameplay mechanic we've never seen before, ever in gaming, and then the second they show a PlayStation logo at the end, do you know what people are going to be talking about? The logo, the platforms, rather than the super cool gameplay mechanic we've just seen, right? Um, Xbox, they've been building up their first party portfolio of studios for a very long time. They need to actually show off what these studios can do when it comes to selling the platform. Oh, and this isn't really something I think they'll have at the show, but it's something they need to do. They really they really need to rethink their marketing of the console. This whole, and all three companies kind of do this to an extent now, where they sort of market their consoles such as iPhones. You know, they have it in a fancy box where there's just a picture of the console. It tells you on the front of the box it does 4K, it does 120, and it's got HDR. It's like we all know that crap by now, right? Put a game character on the box. Market bundles again. I want to see bundles. I want to see a Gears of War and Modern Warfare bundle.
100%. They don't need to do the black turtleneck sweater Steve Jobs routine for this. They're not Steve Jobs. This is not Apple. It is different. It has a personality. Use it.
Yeah, and like I don't know, like I wonder if anyone in chat, like Logan, did you notice this? Like about 6 years ago, where all console manufacturers stopped like marketing their consoles as consoles. They just seemed like iPhones.
Yes, it also went with the logo. Like the logo went from green and silver to just black and white, flat matte, just bare bones, like you put it on a stamp or an email kind of logo instead of something with soul and personality. And it was devoid of creativity and fun and life. And that's why I know we're talking about logos yet again, but That's why the revision to the logo was such a big deal, and the energy is a big deal. And I agree. Just please, just kill it with fire. The whole old corpo, soulless husk, Silicon Valley tech slop nonsense. Like, have fun and personality and soul. Nobody wants that other thing. Ain't
Yeah,
nobody got time for that. Nobody.
yeah. I mean, I think that and maybe it's because of like the generation of gamers we are, where we grew up with like video game characters on the box. You grew up where like if anyone still has their boxes their 360s came in, I think PlayStation 3s did the same. If you looked at the back, there was always like an image of like 40 different games, all games you could play, and they're all listed. They were typically like launch window titles. And I remember looking at these images as a kid, thinking like, I remember looking at my original OG Xbox box of all these titles on the back. Think, oh, what's this? I got so interested by it, and I'd read about it in Xbox magazine. Right? I'm nostalgia baiting at the minute, but you get my point, right? I missed that experience, and I think it's a travesty that new age gamers don't get to experience that at all. Um, but yeah, I can't wait for this Sunday. I think it's going to be really cool. And look, I know the messaging has been a bit weird from Xbox the past few years, but look, they clearly have an amazing lineup of studios making games a lot of us are interested in, and we've seen Xbox make some missteps over the past couple of years, and those all could be fixed, right? This is why I always give the games media a lot of flack for this, right? The Wii U was in a position where they sold 13 million units for a Nintendo console, right? And what did Nintendo do? They sorted it out. They came out with a new console, a new business model, and they end up working things out, right? So whenever I see people constantly say Xbox needs to get out of gaming or any of that stuff, I think that's all silly, right? You have like what 40 plus million Xbox Series consoles sold. You have over 35 million Xbox Game Pass subscribers. So when I have people writing off Xbox, I'm just thinking they're stupid, you know. Um, but anyway, Logan, have you got anything else to say before we close out the show?
Nah, just I'm super excited for the show. Can't wait. Summer Games Fest would be fun too. Um, all in all, can't wait. And how fun would it be if that other Halo project was they revived that Mega Bloks game? I am still salty about it. And you know what? That's my prediction. Mega Bloks is back, baby.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'd take the Mega Bloks game. Um, and before we end the show, I just want to say that everyone chat mostly has been awesome once again. We'll be back for a new episode of All Things Xbox podcast next Tuesday. Now, the show starts at 6 p.m. UK time. I'm going to try and live stream the thing. I'll start the show maybe an hour beforehand, so if I can get it done, I'll post about it on social media. So if you want to talk and chat about an hour before the show goes live, and then you can watch it with me, it'll be a fun time, and then we'll talk about the show afterwards. If I can get that working, that'll all be set maybe by Saturday, and people will know about it. The link to my previous video, which came out last night, 10 biggest new games coming to Xbox in June. There's actually 11 games in that list. I put that out last night. Hope you enjoy it. The link is in the description down below. It took me a month to make that video because I had to remake it twice. But hope people enjoy that. Liking the videos always helps with the algorithm, and I hate doing these little ads, but weirdly enough, liking does help. So yeah, the link to my videos in the description down below. Like I said before, should be live streaming the event, so you can watch it along with me on Sunday. And again, podcast is back next Tuesday. Anyway, we're out, everybody. Peace.